All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Open. It is Wednesday, February 19th. I am very, very excited to be back on the show, back in my studio, back with everything being normal. Got some good rest last night. I did not do the market close. As you guys saw, I said on the market open I wasn't going to be able to do the close, but for the people that didn't know, I was sleeping during the day. I slept like 10 hours, bro. It's the longest I slept in a while. So got some rest. Got everything back to normal. I thought I was sick last night, took some Tylenol, woke up this morning, thought I was sick again, popped some more Tylenol, and now I'm good. Now I'm good to go, excited, and we got a lot to talk about. We have a lot to talk about today. So today's going to be really important because a bunch of things happened since last night that I think we have to discuss that are going to be very important in terms of where the market is going. We have a ton of macro updates. We haven't had that many macro updates since CPI, so we got a lot of stuff to talk about there. Elon and Trump did a joint interview together, so we're going to be discussing that and kind of the implications of that interview as well in regards to different key points they discussed. A lot of it having to do, honestly, with tariffs and just Doge control, all that stuff, so we'll go through that. We also have earnings today. So we had a bunch of earnings this morning that we'll talk about. Companies that aren't the biggest companies in the world, but companies that still do matter. We had Wix this morning. We had Etsy this morning. We had Fiverr. We had Wingstop. We had SolarEdge, HSBC. So a bunch of different companies we have to discuss today after the close. We have Carvana. We have Toast. We have Vimeo. We have Cheesecake Factory. We have Enovix. And we also have Grab, which we'll talk about later as well to see what's going on with Grab. I actually got some new updates from last night in regards to Grab. So we'll go through those updates and discuss more in terms of what's going on as well. And then finally, we also have some Palantir updates that we're going to talk about this morning. Palantir got a new deal this morning, not the biggest deal in the world, but still a deal that is very important and a deal that further goes to show that they are making progress in regards to some of their international products that have not really scaled. And, Alcarb has been pretty honest about the fact that they haven't scaled that well. We got some updates in terms of what they're doing in France today, so we'll be talking about that. The 10K also came out for Palantir. I have some updates in terms of what's going on with that 10K and some different stats that we need to look at. The 10K for Robinhood also came out, so we're going to be talking about that and going through all the different implications of those different statistics and different growth prospects that they laid out for their fiscal year 2025 in terms of the sort of guidance they gave, but not really guidance, but just the projection on how investors should be thinking about the businesses going forward. So there we go. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to get into. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Real quick, let's look at the pre-markets before we get into all the news. SMCI is exploding right now in the pre-markets, 59.89. So that one's doing very well. Same thing with NVIDIA. So let's take a look at all those, and then we'll keep going from there. Paul, good morning. Philip, Raul, Jersey Guido, what's up? Rob Manson, Andreas. Shout out to the mother at the meetup who hooked me up with this Robinhood merch. Her daughter works at Robinhood, and she was able to give me some of this merch. She gave some gifts for my family, so thank you to her. That's how I got this shirt that I am wearing today. Gene, what's up? Jasmine, good morning. Player One, Conan, Marcus, Bike, Ed, Eric, Joseph, Elizabeth, Blake Anderson, what's up? What's up? Can you believe that Palantir is at 124? I mean, honestly, I feel like we've been living in a dream for Palantir for a long time. We're going to look at some of the updated metrics on Palantir, price to sales, price to earnings, etc. None of that really matters, and it hasn't mattered for the past really 5 months now, but when you take a look at them, it is pretty insane that the market's allowing us to trade at this multiple, but we'll discuss a little bit more today why I think the market is allowing that. By the way, Elon Musk, for those that missed it yesterday, posted Alscarp's CNBC interview on his show or on his account, and it got like 50 million views. So in terms of distribution of that show and his message, it was pretty dramatic. And so Elon, the relationship with Carp and Palantir continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think more people are seeing that there is a real chance that Doge is going to be something big for Palantir. Terrence, thank you for the $99.99 super chat. Really appreciate that. Thanks, Smith, for all you do. I've watched you for a while and you are a blessing to many. Gratitude. Thank you, Terrence. Appreciate that. That is very, very humbling and I'm very grateful for $100. $100 is not a small amount of money. So thank you for that super chat. Appreciate you and happy that you're getting value from the show. And thank you for being here every single morning. All right, let's get into it. We got a lot to discuss, a lot to get into. So first, let's start off with the pre-markets and just see what we're dealing with, and then we'll get into some news updates. SMCI up 8% in the pre-markets. If you've held on to this one, congrats. You've done very well. $60. This thing was basically $25 about a month ago. It was 32 weeks ago. So you got a nice little bit of a double right here. SMCI up 8%. Tesla is down 0.16%. We have some updates on Tesla. We'll talk about that as well. Palantir is down a whopping 1%. It is now not a $283 billion company. It is a $280 billion company. So you got Palantir right here, 123.49. You know, at the end of the day, although I didn't do the market close, when I woke up, first of all, I woke up to like 1 trillion messages and like notifications from Hood and X. It's the longest I've ever slept during the market, like when the market was open. Like I've never slept through basically, 11 to 7 p.m. And so I pulled up Robinhood and I saw Palantir close the day at like basically 125, just below 125. And it actually went red by the end of the market open. So we hit 125 yesterday, got to ring the big bell. Then we went all the way back down to 119. Then at the end of the day, we closed up 5%, which is incredible. And now we are only $27 billion away, or $17 billion away from becoming a $300 billion company, which is, again, I can't explain it numerically, but it is pretty incredible. NVIDIA right here, up a little bit in the pre-markets. Robinhood, I'll talk more about Robinhood. I think this dip is so stupid. Down 7% yesterday, to me, feels like hedge funds that wanted to load up because they missed the run and maybe a little bit of manipulation there. The analyst downgrade was just idiotic after I read it again last night. So we'll talk more about Robinhood. I'm probably going to sell some puts today if we gap down again at that 55 range. And so we'll talk about Robinhood a little bit more later throughout the day. AMD right here is up 0.5%. Nebis is up 1%. Tempest is up 2%. HIMS that got upgraded today, they're down 0.5%. SoFi almost closed at 17 yesterday. It was up 3.82%. Right now, 1682 in the pre-markets. Meta continues to have a little bit of weakness after 20 straight days of going up. Oscar Health, I know a lot of you guys are talking about this one. It was up 17% yesterday. It's up another 3% in the pre-markets. So, I mean, Oscar Health doing very well. Archer up another 2%. Rocket Lab, I'm probably going to be selling puts on Rocket Lab today as well before earnings. So we'll talk more about Rocket Lab. I'm thinking around that 21, 22 strike. Premiums are still good, about 3 to 4%, and I really wouldn't mind owning those shares around that range. So we'll talk more about that later in the show. Coinbase up about 1%. Baba's down 0.5%. Celsius making a little bit of a recovery, up 7%. They just surprised announced that they have earnings in 2 days, and we'll discuss why I think they did this. They did get downgraded today from Bank of America from 40 to 33. But it looks like Celsius is gearing up, hopefully, for a decent earnings. And then you got SMCI right here at $60.07. Palantir, 123.61. Grab in the pre-markets is up a little bit, 533. It ended yesterday up 8%. In the pre-markets, up about 0.5% right now at 533. Grab earnings is today. So today after the bell, I will be live for Grab earnings. We will get the results at 4 p.m. and we'll have a lot to discuss because Grab releases a decent amount of information. They have a presentation, they have the actual press release, and then they have a message from the leadership, kind of like the Alex Karp CEO letter, but less philosophical. And there's just like a ton of stuff to go through. But the call will be at 7 p.m. Eastern. So we will get numbers at 4 p.m. I'll have Sam on the show with me. We'll be breaking down the numbers. I'll talk more about Grab in a little bit as we get into the show. But I'll be live again at 7 p.m. to actually listen to the call. So we'll have a ton of stuff to look at later today in regards to Grab. Okay, cool. So let's start off with Palantir. Again, good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. Back in the studio. Very, very, very happy to just be back in the routine and do what we have to do. Okay, so Palantir announces a partnership today in France. This is actually really good to me. I don't think it's like a market moving or stock moving type of PR, but the good thing is that it's something more than what we've seen in regards to what they're going to be doing in international parts of the world. So here's the headline right here. Let me pull this up. Give me 1 second. They didn't actually put it on their website. And they haven't. Did they put it on their website? Did I just miss it? We haven't had a PR in a while. Yeah, they put it on their website. Okay, here we go. So we have it on the website. But let me pull this up right here. So this is actually the first press release of the year outside of the earnings results. So nice to see this is the first partnership, and it has to do with France. So Palantir today announced a multi-year strategic partnership with SAR Group, a global leader in essential water distribution, wastewater treatment, and smart water solutions to transform contract management processes through Palantir's Foundry advanced generative AI capabilities. In the water and environmental services industry, managing complex multi-year contracts efficiently is critical. These master agreements often span thousands of pages in PDF format and contain a wide range of operational targets and reporting requirements. Gaining clear real-time visibility into these contracts is essential for mitigating risks, ensuring accountability, and delivering high-quality services to customers. So this is really important because, again, it unlocks some actual value from a international commercial perspective in Palantir's business in France. So one of the directors of Palantir France said, this partnership illustrates how companies with drive and clarity of vision can harness Palantir's advanced AI software to smash through the barriers that are holding them back, transforming traditional ways of doing things in order to drive productivity, growth, and better customer satisfaction. Our collaboration with SAR highlights the transformative potential of AI in enterprise settings by incorporating Foundry and AIP capabilities. SAR is now setting a new benchmark for contract management, paving the way for numerous potential applications and innovations within the industry. Now, is this the biggest deal in the world? Not really. It's a good deal. It's an important deal. It's not like it's some game-changing deal. The only reason I think it really matters is because it's happening in France. Now, what did Karp say on the earnings call? Karp said, Germany sucks. France sucks. He didn't literally say it like that, although he kind of said it like that. And basically says they're going to be left behind in terms of their AI, in terms of the AI revolution and overall what's going on in their economies. If anyone caught the 60 Minutes interview that happened on Sunday, I'm not going to play it because CBS is going to copyright your stream. But if anyone hasn't watched it, I'd really suggest watching it. They interviewed German lawyers about the new online speech laws. And it was kind of frightening just as an American to see that if you repost something that is deemed as misinformation or hateful, you could be prosecuted and theoretically you could go to jail. And so I think that is the sentiment, at least in Germany right now. And they interviewed lawyers, right? Lawyers that are supposed to be experts at interpreting the German law. And I think that's kind of Karp's point, is like, if you have these types of policies that are really holding back innovation and in particular making people scared to even speak their minds, well, there's going to be an issue. There's going to be an issue at that point. And I'm happy to see that, or they're at least beginning to expand internationally a little bit more by getting some of these clients that are in France. It's not going to be a ton of growth this year. Probably Karp guided, 2025 is going to be still a transformational year for the US commercial, not really international. But if a light switch can go on international, that's a whole level of growth that I don't think the street is even thinking about. Now, is Palantir priced for that growth? Yeah, times $1 billion. I mean, Palantir is priced for a lot of growth right now, but it would be nice to see us get some more international revenue coming in from the rest of the world. Now, Elon Musk, for those that missed it, reposted Alex Karp yesterday on his Twitter that got 18 million views. That was the first clip. And then he reposted another video of Alex Karp. I think the relationship between Palantir and Doge is becoming real. Here's what Karp said yesterday. This is a 2-minute clip, and this is what Elon reposted on his Twitter yesterday.
Suicide. And like, I've been a Democrat most of my life. I kind of view myself as outside it, but I don't like watching the Democrats just commit suicide. And what I see is most of the country doesn't really, at this point, given the fraud, waste, and abuse we know is there, 90% of the country is like, get rid of that fraud, waste, and abuse. And I just view this as yet another example of the progressive left boxing themselves into a suicide dance. Now, what the progressive left should be doing is saying, okay, Elon, you're clearly the most qualified person in the world to do something like this. We want to dialogue with you about how you're doing and what are you doing. I don't believe that's actually what happened. And again, I like Elon. I know I think he's obviously the most important builder in the world. And I just think, if you want to say my former side, I don't believe that they're actually engaging. I think it's like another dance where I'm supposed to say, of course, like whatever. It's like there's this one issue where I might, and then you get boxed into you cannot solve the problem. And then I would say, what is the biggest problem in this society? Biggest problem in this society, from my perspective, is legitimacy of our institutions. Why?
So obviously, Karp is speaking about the idea that because our institutions are seeming less legitimate, it kind of is the reason why Trump even won in the first place. Is like people just stopped trusting the mainstream media, trusting the establishment, and in a result, we ended up with Donald Trump becoming reelected. Now, Karp's argument here, I think, is sort of underscoring the reason that Doge exists in the first place, or why people are even excited about the concept of Doge. Because if you voted for Trump, you kind of voted for an anti-establishment candidate. Elon Musk and Doge is engaging in anti-establishment procedures by kind of trying to rip up what the establishment has done, especially in the context of our tax dollars. And so Elon reposting that again, I know it's kind of just like trying to put the pieces together of the puzzle, but with all the other evidence we have, along with the relationship between Elon and Karp, Elon and Palantir becoming more and more prevalent, JD Vance, David Sachs again, not saying it justifies almost a $300 billion market cap, but momentum-wise, I can understand why people are buying it. They just believe there is going to be substantial government growth. There is a new Iron Dome initiative as well in the United States, and I think we talked about it last week, but this initiative is going to result in some defense contractors making a decent amount of money. I had someone who actually messaged me yesterday. They were actually at the Iron Dome meeting. They work in DoD contracting, and they said, and I quote, "Honestly, with hundreds of DoD companies around the world, this just feels like a Raytheon, Palantir, and Palantir joint venture. Just the appetite when I was in the meeting spoke Mountains, Anduril for sensing, Palantir will interpret the data, and Raytheon for kinetics, aka rockets." They said no guarantees, but it just feels like they own the room. So this was someone that was actually at the meeting yesterday for the new Iron Dome that Trump wants to build. And their interpretation is that Raytheon, Anduril, and Palantir are going to be starting up a joint venture. I just think there's a lot of different ways that this ends up becoming real. I said Anduril. If you combine Palantir and Anduril together, you get Allender. But at the end of the day, if this becomes real, then I do think there's going to be more government contracting for Palantir, more defense spending for Palantir and Anduril, and in particular, more ways for Palantir to get integrated into the DoD, obviously into the government, and become that modern operating system. Now, Elon and Trump also sat down yesterday, and they talked about what the main function of Doge is that I want to pull up and play a little bit of that interview last night with Sean Hannity. Now, real quick, before I get into that interview, I do want to just correct myself from something I said yesterday. I didn't really fact check this, so thank you guys for fact checking this as well. But the picture that I showed yesterday about Elon showing that that like 500-year-old people are getting paid Social Security, I'm not exactly sure if that's accurate. I took it as accurate because Elon posted it and he's running Doge, so I was like, okay, that's accurate. But I had a lot of people reach out saying that that's been debunked in a lot of different ways. So is it fully accurate? Probably not. Is there some level of accuracy to it? Yes. I did not fact check that yesterday. I assumed it was true. I'm imagining that not all of it is exactly true. And I love Elon Musk so much. I glazed him like crazy yesterday and you guys made fun of me for that. But there are some tweets where he just puts out that like, it's not the full story, right? And because he has such big reach, everyone assumes it's the full story, but it ends up not being exactly correct. However, from the articles I did read yesterday, the number that kept popping up is $71 billion has been misallocated in Social Security spend. Now, that's not the exact same as Elon's interpretation of just like we are paying people that are 400 years old. But I think everyone can agree there is a misallocation of spending. And Doge is the one thing, the one chance we have to audit that level of spending. And so either we're going to see, how that plays out, what ends up happening to it. But in terms of the exact claims by Elon, I don't know if they're exactly correct, but I'm sure there are still some versions of it that are correct. I actually had some people who watched the show yesterday who work in Social Security, and they reached out and they said, okay, what he said about like people that are 250 years old getting paid, that's not correct. However, given I work in Social Security, corruption isn't even the word for what's going on, right? So there were some people that reached out and was like, okay, Elon wasn't exactly correct about that, but trust me, there is definitely a misallocation of spend, and it's something that hopefully Doge can resolve, and who knows if it's going to happen, but I think the promise of Doge is that maybe there's a chance, and that's what Americans are the most excited about. Here's Elon talking about Doge with Trump yesterday in their interview.
The way you think of me is like I'm a technologist, and I try to make technologies that improve the world and make life better.
Your shirt.
Yeah, and that's why I like my T-shirt says tech support, because I'm here to provide the president with technology support. And now that may seem like, well, is that a silly thing? But actually, it's a very important thing, because the president will make these executive orders, which are very sensible and good for the country, but then they don't get implemented. So if you take for example, all the funding for the migrant hotels, the president issued an executive order where, hey, we need to stop taking taxpayer money and paying for luxury hotels for illegal immigrants, which makes no sense. Like, so obviously people do not want their tax dollars going to fund high-end hotels for illegals. And yet they were still doing that, even as late as last week. And so, we went in there and we're like, this is in violation of the presidential executive order. It needs to stop. So what we're doing here is one of the biggest functions of the Doge team is just making sure that the presidential executive orders are actually carried out. And this is, I just want to point out, this is a very important thing, because the president is the elected representative of the people. So he's representing the will of the people. And if the bureaucracy is fighting the will of the people and preventing the president from implementing what the people want, then what we live in is a bureaucracy and not a democracy.
No.
There was a lot more of that interview, but it was kind of cool to see Elon and Trump sitting down together, kind of discussing what was going on. There was one awkward moment where Trump sued Twitter for banning him for $10 million. And Hannity was like, So you just gave Trump 10 million. And Elon was like, yeah, the lawyer said to give him 10 million. So I gave him 10 million. And Trump was like, yeah, he got a discount. I should have sued him for more. So it was one of those moments where it was kind of awkward and kind of funny. But the gist of the interview was basically Elon and Trump coming together and saying, hey, we are connected. We are in harmony with each other. We agree on the same principles. And the media may be trying to divide us, maybe trying to put a wedge in between our relationship and our partnership. But we both believe there's a mutually beneficial relationship in terms of us working together and for us doing what we want to do with Doge. It went so far to the point where Elon actually thought about a Doge dividend yesterday. So this person tweeted, President Trump and Elon Musk should announce a Doge dividend, a tax refund check sent to every taxpayer, funded exclusively with a portion of the total savings delivered by Doge. Elon said, I will check with the president. Now, do I think this is going to happen? No. I think there's no way in hell that they're going to send us a Doge dividend. And if they do, I mean, how much money would it really be, right? We got 350 million Americans, or what is it, 150 million adults. I mean, I don't think this is going to be anything more than a couple of dollars if it happens, which wouldn't, there would be no point to it. But the fact that he even said, hey, I'll check with the president and see, if something like a Doge dividend could happen, means that he's a bit more aggressive on this idea that we just need to cut as much spending as possible. I don't think we're going to get a dividend, but hopefully if we just cut the spending, that's good enough, because we're spending a lot of money. So, I mean, look, my take on this, I know a lot of people are politically divided on this. I get a lot of people hate that Elon's doing this. I get that some people love that Elon's doing this. I know that some people think that Elon's unelected. He's not supposed to be doing this. Other people are saying, well, the elected officials are trash. They haven't done anything for 30 years. My take of this is very simple. I believe someone needs to balance the budget. Someone needs to balance the books. I think historically over the past 50 years, it's been very hard for politicians to do it because of bureaucracy. Elon actually not being an elected official to me is an advantage. That doesn't mean he can go crazy with it and do whatever he wants, but I do think that means at least there is an opportunity for someone that thinks from first principles, that has built trillion-dollar companies, can take a look at from a very logical perspective of like, what is the budget? What are we spending? What do we not need to spend? And how do we balance it? And I hope that it works out. I don't know if it's going to work out. They have about 500 days to make this happen, but it does seem like there's a chance for it to work out. And if it does work out, again, for all of us as investors, who are the winners there? I don't know a name that's a better winner outside of Palantir. I mean, maybe Tesla's a winner just in regards to the whole Elon-Trump relationship being seen as positive by the street, but there's going to need to be software to resolve these things, especially because Elon has talked time and time again about the necessity of a new way from a tech stack perspective to clean up a lot of the legacy issues or legacy systems that we have running in the government. I just think it's obvious that, like, who is Elon going to go to? Microsoft? No, I think he's going to go to Palantir. I think he's going to at least think about Palantir in a much more serious way. And if that's the case, then I think there's a benefit at that point for Palantir. So that's what we got from last night. That's what we got with Elon and Trump, and we will see kind of the implications of that going forward over the coming months. Tesla right here down a little bit in the pre-markets. Nike's down about 1.2%. Can we talk about Bill Ackman real quick? Let's talk about Bill Ackman, because he's also doing some interesting stuff, and I think we should discuss that real quick in terms of Grab. I see a lot of you people asking for it right here in the chat. So let me spend 2 minutes on Grab and tell you some of the stuff I found out last night, and then we'll talk about Bill Ackman, and then we'll get to some macro data that's really interesting. So 13 Ds and 13 Fs came out. We're going to talk a lot about all the super investors and the investments they made. I have some aggregated stats. Microsoft was the #1 stock that was bought in Q4 by super investors, but we'll talk more about that. This is Grab's official new institutional holdings chart. It is well above 70% of the float. This was updated last night. I actually woke up at like 5 a.m. this morning, and I've just been awake all morning because I slept for like 15 hours yesterday. I slept for 10 hours, woke up, ate some dinner, and then slept for... Yo, I got to tell you guys, hold on. Before we talk about Grab, I got to tell you what happened with my mom last night, bro. So I wake up, I go downstairs after waking up from a deep slumber, okay? And I'm just sitting down with my sister. We're talking about my trip, and then my mom walks in, okay? And I kid you not, this is what happened. This tweet is what happened. This was happening in real time, and I was like, of course this is happening. So I got home in the morning. I slept for 10 hours after doing the market open. I woke up 30 minutes ago when I tweeted this. My mom got home from work. She walks in. She says, oh my God, how was your trip? Hello. I saw you with all these CEOs. I love you. Also, can you go get the groceries from the car? And I was like, there is no way that she's asking. When I'm not making this up, I'm not trying to be funny here. She walks in, she gives me a hug. She says, I love you. How was your trip? Yada, yada. I saw you with all these big time people. By the way, can you get the groceries from the car? And I'm just like, this is like, no one can humble you more than your mom, bro. No one. She was waiting for me to come back from California to bring these damn groceries into the house. That's what it was. I don't know what she's going to do when I move out, bro. I really don't know. Like, I think I'm gonna have to hire someone to help. Like, I don't like, cause like, I don't know what she's gonna do when I move out and who's gonna get the groceries out of the car. Cause I think for the past 15 years, it hasn't been my mom. It hasn't been my mom. So she's still the boss, bro. I mean, like you could have, a crazy week and do all this cool stuff. You come back home. I mean, when I mean it's the first thing, she didn't come home, sit with me for 30 minutes. And it was like, she walks through the door and says, can you get the groceries? Because my mom, she's also one of those people that like wants to get stuff done immediately. I'm a little bit more of a procrastinator. I'm like, Mom, we'll get the groceries in 30 minutes. Like, why do we have to get it right now? And she just like wants to get it over with. And then, me, I try to get all the groceries at once. I try to be Superman and carry everything. And she gets so mad when I do that. She's like, just make a couple trips. I'm like, but it's cooler if I can pick up everything at once. And then you end up dropping something. And then she says, I told you so. Whatever. So nonetheless, grab them groceries. Exactly. Grab them groceries. That's what I did last night. Anyway, speaking of grab, so institutional holdings are now above 70%. People keep saying there's a massive float of 4 billion shares. 3.15 billion of the shares are locked up by the institutions. This is about 76.92%. That is the NASDAQ institutional data that was updated this morning from Grab. So, I mean, look, if there was any quarter for the stock to be re-rated, I think it would be this quarter. I think they're going to have a pretty strong earnings. Again, at 4 p.m., we'll talk more about what the earnings look like. I have some things that I'm expecting, and we'll talk about that later in the show. But I think if they can guide for adjusted EBITDA of 65%, they can be profitable again. And the wild card is they can maybe give back $1 billion to shareholders and say, we're buying back $1 billion of our stock. This level of institutional investment, just in terms of the rapid increase from basically 45% 18 months ago to 76%, leads me to believe that the toots think that this stock is ready to take off in prime time. And it's been 3 years of consolidation. Margins are going up. Free cash flow is going up. Usually a stock price historically follows free cash flow. And I think if they deliver today after the bell, we're gonna have good earnings. So let's see what happens. I mean, it's gonna be a long journey with this one. I am a bit more conservative on my price targets, but I do think that if they can do what they need to do, then there will be a world in which Grab doesn't have to see $4 again, and hopefully doesn't have to see $5 again. But later today, we will find out if this ends up playing out. Amit, wasn't it just 55%? Yes, now it's 76%. That's based on NASDAQ data and Fintel data. And it makes sense because all the 13Fs and 13Ds I'm seeing, it's like these institutions are buying 30, 40 million shares of Grab. Now, 30, 40 million times $5, it's not a ton of money for the institutions. But the point is that float that is so big is starting to go down in terms of the available shares left for everyone else to actually buy. So do we need massive volume for the stock to move? Yes. But if a lot of the shares are already locked up, you might not need as much volume as people thought that we needed, given the institutional holdings are larger. Earnings are at 4 p.m. today, 4 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. We will see what's going on in the institutions. They might be front-running retail. That is correct. They also might be front-running retail right now, and that could be a reason why the stock is going higher. Okay, let's talk about Bill Ackman. So real quick before Bill Ackman, Nikola, they just filed for Chapter 11. So Nikola, this stock that some people have still asked me about, ironically, and I always wondered why, because like it's Nikola. Officially today, they have said we are filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So they're done. They are done. And so this is another EV company that tried to compete with Tesla, was not able to do it. Trevor Milton obviously scammed a lot of people. And now they're done. So no more Nikola. The only ones left are Tesla, Polestar, Lucid, and Rivian. I mean, those are like the main four that I know of that are, and BYD obviously, but that's in China. And another one bites the dust when it comes to EVs. I'm surprised they lasted this long. I agree. I am also surprised that they lasted this long. Okay, Bill Ackman, let's talk about this. So this news broke last night, and I woke up to this after my long slumber, and I was very confused what the heck this guy's trying to do. So Bill Ackman raised a bid for Howard Hughes, and he said he is going to turn this into a modern day Berkshire Hathaway. I don't know if anyone understood what he was talking about yesterday. I think he's going to be doing a presentation later today, but I was very confused. So then I asked, what is he doing? And someone said right here, Howard Hughes is a real estate development and management company. Ackman had a long history with it. Howard Hughes was originally part of GGP. During the 2008 crisis, GGP was over-leveraged and filed for bankruptcy. Ackman acquired a large stake and steered the company through restructuring. Eventually, Howard Hughes was spun off as a part of GGP restructuring and was orchestrated by Ackman, who became chairman of the board. Ackman stepped down as chairman in 2019, but has remained on the board. In January, he made an offer to buy 12 million shares at $85 each. This time, he's come back with an improved offer and wants to up his stake by 48% with a $900 million deal, which would be $90 million per share. Or sorry, $90 per share. However, the deal requires, and this is the big part, Howard Hughes to pay a 1.5% annual fee of market cap under a services agreement. This is something that Berkshire never did. Ackman would then serve as CEO and chairman. And this person said, it seems rather predatory to me for someone who claims to want to emulate Berkshire. Buffett has earned a $100,000 salary for decades and never took a percentage of the company's market cap as a result of restructuring the business. Also, Berkshire's purchase was a mistake, as Buffett has said it's a little weird that he wants to emulate it in the first place. I thought this was also pretty interesting. Ackman is one of the greatest investors of all time. Obviously, he's a household name. The fact that he's trying to do this in the, call it, last 2 decades of his career is a very interesting route to go. So I asked, does this mean that he's going to consume private businesses like Berkshire does with Geico and insurance? I think 60% of Berkshire's holdings are actually private, not even public. So they kind of just, they're like the true definition of a holding company, and they consume all these businesses within. And this person said, seems to be what he wants to do, which explains a 1.5% market cap fee that he wants to charge per year. That would bring his stake to 78% in the next 2 decades, giving him total control of the company. I'm not sure it would work the same way Buffett did in the early days using the insurance float of Geico. HH doesn't have that same ability. Although perhaps that is down the pipeline, he could acquire insurance companies or fin services, financial services businesses that give him a gloat and generates long-term cash flows for him to acquire businesses over time, which is essentially what Buffett has done. He has all these cash flowing businesses underneath Berkshire Hathaway. And now Berkshire Hathaway is sitting on $275 billion of stock and $325 billion of cash. And he can do whatever the hell he wants. So I don't know. This is interesting. I am not educated enough to know exactly the internal dynamics of this deal. I personally think that, maybe Ackman just finding the next 4 or 5 winners is the way to end out his career, like finding the next Chipotle, finding the next CPKC, the next Hilton Hotels. But he wants to go down the route of having more managing control over an institution and kind of, I guess, turn Pershing Square into the next Berkshire, which probably is going to be more lucrative. I guess it's just a question of if that's the right way to go about it over the long term. Arnie says, in my opinion, it makes sense to ask for a percentage of equity. This way, he needs to keep the price in line with net asset value, otherwise lower fees. That's fair. That's another fair point for why keeping the NAV in check makes sense, unlike our boy Michael Saylor, who, for those that don't know, raised $2 billion yesterday at a 0% coupon rate, which we'll talk about in a second, but it feels like no one cares. Speaking of net asset values that are not in check, you got MicroStrategy, but it seems like no one cares anymore about what he's doing. Thank you, Derek, for the 50 gifted. Good morning to you. 50 of you guys just got memberships from Mr. Derek Wall. Derek, appreciate you. I told you guys a story yesterday about Figure and Derek and how he got me into the deal. And this was a very big week for myself. And obviously it was a big week for Derek. It was one of the largest investments in his life into Figure that is now worth $39.5 billion. So sharing a little bit of the love and the blessings with the chat. Thank you, Derek, for that. And thank you to everybody, or you're welcome to everybody who got a membership from Derek and is now a channel member. Does Derek have a YouTuber X? Yeah, let me put it. It was so funny. I tagged him in a post the other day because someone was like, how'd you get into Figure? And I was like, it was because of this random guy named Derek. And he just started getting a bunch of followers. And he was like, yo, did you tag me? And I was like, yeah, like I tagged you. And so you guys can follow him there. He doesn't really tweet that much. Maybe if you guys encourage him to tweet more, he'll tweet. If you actually nag him on Twitter, he'll start tweeting instead of just working on his startup all day. But he doesn't really tweet much. But that is his Twitter right there. Did he send another super chat, dude? Goodness gracious. Derek, thank you for the $100 super chat. Check your email, founder mode. Okay, let's check my email right now. Thank you, sir, for the next $100 super chat. Oh, wow. This is cool. This is cool. Okay, cool. So I'm not going to read the whole email right here, but you guys know Derek has a startup right now. They just raised their pre-seed. The subject of this email is like, Series A decision. Dude, this guy. They just raised their pre-seed and now they're getting ready to work on a Series A. Dude, I'm so excited for when you guys actually find out about the startup and he goes to the media because right now they're in stealth. But yeah, they just raised their pre-seed at 50 million and they're looking to raise the Series A, as he says right there in the chat, at $1 billion. I mean, look, that might seem a lot of crazy to people. How do you go from 50 million to $1 billion? But based on the progress I've seen, I think there is a hell of a shot that they can easily raise at $1 billion. I mean, quite frankly, I think the company right now is worth about $1 billion. So this is going to be pretty exciting. It's going to be pretty exciting. 50 million to $1 billion. Now, again, the only way you do this is if you have a lot of LOIs and purchase orders and stuff like that, that gets people, or gets the street, or not the street, but private investors excited to give you that valuation. I think there's a shot Derek pulls it off. You know, I think there's a world. I really do think there's a world. And I know it's going to sound crazy because a lot of you guys don't know what the startup is. And maybe Derek will do an interview one day where he like fully explains it and gets people to see the vision. But I think there's a world where this is a $100 billion company. And this is one of those companies that quite literally changes the world, if not more than 100 billion over the next 5 years. Because first of all, 100 billion in 2030 is not going to be 100 billion in 2025. I think just by even $1 trillion is not going to be that big of a deal in the next 5 years. But also, I think the level of scale and magnitude they have on this, they can really work. It can really, really, really get big. So eventually, hopefully he opens up a little bit for everyone else to invest, Derek. You got to do that. Everyone in the chat's asking if they can invest. You gotta carve out a little bit of the Series A so people can get in. Let's see. Maybe we can pressure him into carving out 20, 30 million and just let you guys take a chance on what he's doing here. So we'll see. Maybe he allows this to happen. He does own Grab as well. He bought 100,000 shares like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, yo, I like Grab. I was like, yo, I like Grab. He sent a screenshot of 100,000 shares. I was like, okay, so this guy being rich is fun, dude. Being rich is like, hopefully one day we can experience the same. But shout out to Derek. Thank you for the 50 gifted. Thank you for the membership, and congrats on basically getting ready to raise your Series A, even though they just raised the pre-seed, which is absolutely insane. Okay, cool. So let's move on into some of the other macro data we have right now. So what was I just talking about? I was just talking about Bill Ackman. Yeah, I think Ackman has a shot to pull this off. Howard Hughes, again, I don't know enough about them, but it looks like that's the company that he wants to ultimately retake and build into his modern day Berkshire Hathaway. Grab right here up 1.32%. SMCI up 6.2%. But I guess we're going to see how Bill Ackman ultimately plays this out. I think he's giving a presentation later today, live. So I'll try to watch the presentation and try to understand what he's doing as well. But I guess we're going to get another modern day Berkshire potentially soon by Mr. Ackman. Okay, so let me ask a question to the chat, and then I want to get into the macro data. How are you guys feeling about the state of this market right now? I know a lot of people were talking about it's frothy. A lot of people were saying that we have momentum. Bank of America came out with a survey yesterday, and retail actually said, we talked about the institutional side yesterday. Retail the retail part of the survey was released today. Global fund managers have 3.5% of their portfolios in cash. That is the lowest in the past 15 years. The retail side of the Bank of America survey was released today. Retail investors think it is the most frothiest market they've seen since 2021. So it's actually ironic that retail is doing the opposite of what the institutions are saying. Retail is actually saying, yeah, we think it's frothy, but institutional fund managers, based on the level of cash they have on the sidelines, they've deployed a lot of it, and they're getting ready to deploy even more. Now, how do we know they're deploying it? Well, take a look at this stat. I mean, this is some pretty incredible stuff. ETFs in the first 6 weeks of 2025. Each week has 7 days. 6 times 7 is 42. That is quick maths. In the first 42 days of the year, ETFs took in $130 billion. $130 billion. That is $3.0952381 billion a day. That is also quick maths, even if I'm using the calculator. So that is a record start for the year. This is the best start to the year ever in history of the S&P 500 since we started tracking it back in 1953. That is a record start for the year. All that money is not coming from retail. 130 billion is likely coming from more institutions, which is consistent with the Bank of America Global Fund Survey that we saw yesterday. And the S&P 500 just hit another all-time high. So is this good? Is this bad? I don't know. I really don't freaking know. 65% of you are saying that the market is frothy right now. Okay, so let's take that stat that says 65% of you think the market's frothy right now. And then let's look at some of the data. Well, I just wrote this up on my phone real quick, so let me pull this up. A lot of you guys are 65% of you, almost 70% of you are saying that it's frothy right now. Here are the Mag 7 returns to start off the year. Meta up 21%. Google down 3%. Amazon up 1%. Tesla down 9%. NVIDIA up 3%. NVIDIA obviously did a lot better if you bought the dip, but for the year to date, it's up 3%. Microsoft minus 4%, and then Apple minus 2%. It would be minus 5% if Apple was back at 220, but Apple now recovered to about 240. Is that frothy? Is that really frothy? Right? The Mag 7 outside of Meta, the other 6 are flat or down year to date. And so the question becomes, where is that money going to? Well, For the people that voted that it's frothy, here's the argument for why you guys could be correct. Instead of going into Google, it went into Oklo. Instead of going into Tesla, it went into Archer. Now, are Oklo and Archer horrible companies? No, but they're also companies that don't have any earnings. Like, they don't report EPS or revenue. Google, Microsoft, Apple, they do report EPS and revenue. So I think this is a really unique situation, right? Because it's, and the S&P 500 is only up 4% for the year, but still, the S&P average is 10% on that. So it's 40% of its historical average they've already achieved in terms of gains for the year, even though the Max 7 are basically flat. So I think it's trying to figure out how to interpret the fact that risk on assets like a Archer or an Oklo, which don't have earnings that fundamentally just have potential, are up 30 to, in Oklo's case, 90% year to date. Amazon's down 1%. Amazon is about to do, or Amazon for the TTM did almost $700 billion of revenue, and they're down, but Oklo and Archer are up. So there has been a rotation from the Mag 7 to other names, but the question is the rotation happening in the right places? Do Oklo and Archer deserve that money? Or does that money deserve to go to like utilities or defensives or cyclicals, right? Or McDonald's, companies that can weather the storm if there is a recession. Because if we have a recession, Archer and Oklo are not going to be at these multiples. Like they're going to be risk on assets that are going to get kicked off or they're going to get sold off immediately. And so I don't know, dude. I don't know how we can necessarily interpret what's going on with the market right now. I do think there is a bit of froth, 100%, but I also think earnings growth has been good enough to justify a decent amount of that froth in regard to the companies that do have, like Robinhood, right? You could say Robinhood's expensive, and we'll talk more about Robinhood in a bit, but I think Robinhood's relatively cheap for the earnings growth that they're putting up and the earnings growth that they can put up, and the market kind of rotated some of that money from Amazon into Hood because they probably think Hood's a better growth vehicle this year over Amazon. The question is, does that matter? Is that the bull market just broadening, or is that a sign of fear in regards to, or should that be a sign of fear in regards to a behavioral pattern by market participants that is more along the lines of being way too risk on versus being safe? And I don't think we know. I think NVIDIA earnings is going to give us a little bit more details on what's actually going on here. Arnie says the bull market is just broadening, which is actually positive in my opinion. I agree that it is positive. My sort of take on this is that the S&P being up, but the Max 7 being down is very positive. The second order derivative of that take is like, is the money rotating to the right place? And I don't know. I don't think any of us know. But I guess we're eventually going to find out as we go later into the year. Rocket Lab right here. They did have a successful launch yesterday, right? I didn't get a chance to check it out because I was sleeping. But Rocket Lab, I do believe they had a successful launch. For those that own Rocket Lab in the chat, you can tell me how important that launch is for their overall business, because I'm not necessarily sure. I am thinking of selling puts today on Rocket Lab. I was thinking about 25 to 35 puts. So when I sell those, I will let you guys know. But yeah, look, going into earnings, if I have to buy Rocket Lab at 21, 22, I'm fine with that. So I think that's the beauty of selling puts, right? If you get it at the price you want, then it's okay to do it. Don't know if I'm going to buy shares on spot equity before earnings, but I guess we'll leave that to be a game time decision before February 26th. It was launch number 60. Okay, cool. Very cool. Launch number 60. Dope stuff. Look, I'm feeling pretty comfortable selling puts on a name. Sometimes to really get comfortable with selling puts on a ticker, you gotta believe that you're getting a good price and a good premium for the discount that you're setting the strike at. And I think that this one will be a good one going into earnings, and we'll see what we have to do to try to get a little bit more exposure to Rocket Lab. All right, here we go. It is Wednesday, February 19th, 9:30 a.m. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. The stock market, once again, is indeed open. Isn't that so much better than the tiny bell? Isn't that so much better than the tiny bell? We are back to normal. We got a real bell, and we're getting into some action. Palantir, 124.4. Palantir opens up down about 0.3%. Palantir is now a $282 billion company. We are at 124. I think we can get back to 125. We were there a couple times yesterday, then we fell. We'll see if the market momentum is there, if there's any big walls at 125. But 124.3, we are down 0.5% on the day. We had a new partnership with France and a contracting company in France. That was the new deal that Palantir got. Opens today right now down 0.69%. Grab opens down about 1%, 526. So we were at 540 in the pre-markets, right now at 526. So that's down about 0.5%. SMCI was pushing 61. Now it's at 58. So that's up 4.7%. Everything kind of taking a little bit of a dip as we get into the market open. Google right here, 185. Google's been relatively stuck. Nvidia right there, 139. Hood, 6074. At this point, I think Hood might as well go back to 57, 58, because if it's down from 67 to 60, just give us a real dip at this point. So we'll talk more about Hood in a bit. I think they got hit yesterday off a downgrade. The downgrade didn't make a lot of sense to me. I think hedge funds and money managers just want some cheaper shares right here on Hood. But let's see if we can get this down below 60, because I will be a buyer if we get there. Right now, Hood at 60.75. MicroStrategy 339, Nvidia 139, HIMS 59.62. That's up 2%. Tempest AI 83.09. That is green. SolarEdge had earnings today. SolarEdge is 37%. Okay, that's a bit green. That's a big green. I saw their earnings today. They missed on revenue. I didn't expect them to jump up 37%. SolarEdge right here. Here are the numbers. They missed on EPS. They beat on revenue. So revenue came in at 196 versus 189 expected. EPS was negative 352. The street thought they would lose $1.66. So they lost by $2 more on EPS. Something they had to say is getting the street excited, because to miss on EPS by over 200% is not good. So I would imagine something in the call or something in the guidance is getting this one excited. Where's Enphase if SolarEdge is up? Enphase is at 3%. Enphase right here at 67. Celsius is running. Okay, so a couple updates on Celsius. What is happening on Celsius? Well, they announced a surprise earnings, I think last night. They didn't release the results, but they said that they're going to release their earnings soon. And that's what's getting the street a bit more excited, along with something else that they said. So let me pull this up real quick. But that is what's getting the street excited. Okay, so they announced they were going to release their Q4 and full year 2024 financial results after market close on February 20th. That is 2 days from now. Or sorry, not 2 days. That's tomorrow. Which usually companies don't do that. Rock Lab right here up 1.3%. Usually companies like release it a month in advance to tell you that they're going to put out earnings. Celsius did it a day in advance. So some people are thinking that they've got something up their sleeve and that they're going to be announcing something. Additionally, they're hosting a presentation pretty soon. And that presentation is going to highlight some of the growth levers of the business, which is why the street's getting excited about that as well. Let me just pull that up real quick. And that's why I think it's moving. The company also confirmed that CEO and CFO and CMO will present at the Consumer Analyst Group of New York conference on February 21st. So they're having their earnings and then they're having a conference right after. That's probably what's getting the street excited. Grab right here is recovering a little bit. It's still down 1%. SMCI down or up 6%. Palantir down about 0.42%, 124.12. We didn't hit 125 again. Robinhood 60.85. Next Decade's down about 0.5%. SoFi right here down about 1.1%. AMD 113.5. It hit 115 yesterday, back to 113 today. Broadcom right there 0.60 down. That's at 227. Intel is down 5%. It was up basically 30% up 7% for the week. It was up 33% for the year. Remember that guy on Wall Street Bets that put his grandfather's inheritance into Intel, about $800,000? He put it in at an average of 30. Intel's at 26. Intel fell to 18. If he kept it in and he just kept holding, he might recover a lot of that money that he lost from 3 months ago. So we got to see if Intel can get back to these levels. Where is Tesla? Tesla is, I believe, green today. Yep, 358 on Tesla, up 1.2%. Tesla was down yesterday, but Tesla's green. Oh, it was his grandma? Okay, it was his grandma, not his grandpa. But still, dude, 800 grand from an inheritance is like, it's tough to gamble that on one stock. But it might work out. If he held it, if he didn't panic sell, it might work out. If Intel can get back to this $30 range. Where is HIMS? Okay, so Tesla's getting some love. HIMS up 3.5%. HIMS did hit 62. Is this an all-time high for HIMS? I think this is, oh yeah, this is an all-time high for HIMS. Yeah, wow. Goodness gracious, dude. Nothing is holding this stock back. And it's only trading at a 10 times price of sales, which in this market, compared to some other names, is relatively cheap for the growth that they're putting up as well. So HIMS, I mean, just one of the biggest success stories. Short float is still high. Growth is there. It looks like if they crush on Q4 earnings, maybe this goes higher. This is up now almost 150% year to date, which is pretty incredible. Oh, HIMS all-time high 65. Okay, so we're close. We're close then to that all-time high. SolarEdge right here up 31%. Rocket Labs up 1.5%. Archer is down about 0.52%. I did close my Archer puts yesterday. I had 50 puts on Archer for $8. They were up 75% yesterday, so I closed those out. And I think we made about $1,200 in premium from Archer yesterday. But the deal they got with Anduril and the FAA certification they got yesterday is why the market's a bit more excited about Archer. Oscar, that was up 18% yesterday. That one goes flat on the day. Uber's at $80. That's down 1.5%. S&P 500's at 610. The Qs are at 538, basically flat. Serve Robotics is up 11%. They announced a new deal with Uber to do autonomous delivery for Uber Eats. That came out this morning. And so that's why Serve Robotics is up a little bit here on the day. Celsius, wow, 11%. Let me know in the chat if you own Celsius. Who owns this name? Who owns Celsius? Who's been bag holding Celsius? Who's been buying Celsius? Who's been selling puts on Celsius? Who has any calls on Celsius? Seems like a decent chunk of you guys own Celsius. And this one's getting a little bit of reward here today. Rocket Lab 2816, Grab kind of recovering. It was down about 2% as the market opened. Now at 530, it's nicely holding 5, which I like. Again, earnings today after the bell going to be really important. Going to be one of the most important earnings that they've had in history. NVIDIA right here, basically at 140. BlackBerry up another 1.7%. So for those that got into BlackBerry over the past couple of weeks, congrats. This one's up about 25%. Google right here at 186. Robinhood recovering a little bit at 61.15. Venture Global. This is a stock Chris was talking about yesterday in the liquefied natural gas space. That's at 17.16, up 1.3%. Tempest AI, 82.95. And then AMD going green as well at 114.5 on the day. Is SMCI above 60? SMCI is just at 60, $60.05 on SMCI, up 7.5%. Wow, a decent number of you guys have Celsius. Decent chunk have Celsius. Tony says, I have 2 cases of Celsius in my fridge. I still never got used to the drink, dude. I tried it a couple times. I never got into it, but I think the biggest thing for Celsius is, can Pepsi revenue growth come back? Grab just went green. Grab back at 530. And if it does, I mean, again, I really know little about the company, but maybe there's a world where that catalyst is enough to get the street excited. Remember, this stock was $99 last year. It fell all the way to, I think, 19 or 21 at one point, and now getting a bit of recovery. But the time to get out was at 99. I think a lot of people couldn't tell that, like, the sales were slowing down. Sales ended up slowing down dramatically. If there's a reacceleration, the market will move on that narrative, and that could get Celsius some momentum. Amit, is it true that Palantir's chief accounting officer resigned? Yes, that is true. So David Glazer, who's the CFO of Palantir, is now going to assume the role of chief accounting officer. I don't think there's any big reason for that. I think I don't know. I think they just wanted to not be the chief accounting officer anymore. They're still part of the business. They're having an advisor role to David Glazer, who's managing the accounting and the actual financial obligations of the business. But I don't think there's anything to read into that. I think they probably just wanted to move on from that part of their life, and that's why they move forward. In terms of Palantir, we do have a couple of results from the 10K. So let me pull this up real quick. Shout out to Amir who dug up these numbers. Here are some of the stats. So average revenue per customer decreased slightly in Q4. This excludes the top 20 customers as they account for 45% of total revenues. There's no more market vesting SARs to worry about either. The outstanding SBC expenses as of Q4 2024 show us that all of the market vesting SARs that needed to be paid out have been paid out. So SARs might be a concern over the next couple of quarters in terms of a hit on EPS, but it's not as bad as what people thought it was going to be. And also, I mean, at this point, I don't think the street cares about SARs anymore, because if they cared about SARs, they would not have the valuation where it is today. So street seems to be caring more about just like top line revenue growth that Palantir is going to be putting up. Now, Jefferies came out with a statement on Palantir today. They maintained their $60 price target, and they maintained an underperform rating on Palantir. Their broader argument here is that the growth does not justify where it's trading right now. But their core updates from them seeing the 10K was that total headcount increased by only 5% year over year, which is amazing. Palantir's average revenue per employee is the highest in software. It is $840,000 per employee. Which is incredible, right? That's a lot of money per employee. That means you're hiring the best talent and you're not hiring more than you need. U.S. revenue growth overshadowed the flat international growth. U.S. revenue accelerates to 38% year over year. International revenue was only 14%. Here's some updates for everyone as well that's important. Alex Karp has the ability to sell 10 million shares, 9.97 million from now until September 2025. So Karp just filed a new 10b5-1. So did Stephen Cohen. And him and Cohen can sell 13 million shares in total over the next 10 months. So if they want to sell, if you see any sales by Karp or Cohen, just know that it has already been pre-planned, and they have the ability to liquidate about 10 million shares from their ownership. And then we have the Department of a Chief Accounting Officer. They left. They're going to have an advisory role now. And big customers get bigger. Palantir's average TTM revenue for its top 20 customers was 64.6 million versus 54 million last year. That's incredible growth, 18% year over year. Its top 3 customers accounted for 17% of the revenue, a slight downtick and a step in the right direction in terms of reducing customer concentration risk as they move more downstream, which is also very good. And the SPAC exposure continued to decrease. The total value of SPAC contracts was 341 million, inclusive of 10 million of contractual options. This is down from 377 million. So we're seeing the SPAC stuff not be that big of a concern anymore for Palantir going into the long term. So those are the updates from the 10K. Nothing too crazy, but overall metrics moving in the right direction. Tesla right here at 359. SolarEdge is up 31%. Enphase now 5%. Rocket Lab's up 1%. Grab 535. Grab is going green. SMCI at 59.98. Celsius right here 11.3%. Where is Palantir? Palantir is 122. All right, so we're getting some red on Palantir, down about 1.2%. What do you think of Archer earnings? I don't have an opinion here because they're not going to have numbers. They're not going to have revenue or earnings like net income or even the resemblance of net income. So unless they actually show us real numbers, I have no idea what's going to happen with Archer because it's going to be pure momentum. I remember last time we were pulling up Archer earnings last quarter, I was looking for the numbers and there were no numbers because they don't have any earnings. So I don't know. They're going to have to announce some good deals that get the street excited. Again, their market cap is $5 billion. They have a $6 billion backlog in terms of orders. So maybe they increase that backlog that can get people excited. But I just have no expectations because I have nothing to base my expectations on because there are earnings at the end of the day for Archer. Did SMCI release their 10K? No, not yet. Dude, it would be the saddest thing ever if on February 25th, SMCI doesn't release the 10K and this thing just tanks. I think they will. Like, I don't know. I'm 90% sure they're going to release it. But on that 10% chance they don't release the 10K and there's some delay again, it's going to get ugly. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's why it's moving up to $60. The street's probably expecting them to release the 10K. And if they do, then, hopefully that takes SMCI even higher from where it is right now. HIMS is at an all-time high. Goodness gracious. 65 on HIMS. Wow. Congrats. 65 on HIMS. There you go. 65 on HIMS. Getting some momentum right here. eBounce said, I sold all my SMCI options. 15,000 is solid. Don't want to play that game anymore. Yeah, I mean, look, if you're taking profits on SMCI, I took my profits a little bit too early, but nonetheless, I took some profits and it is what it is. Now, holding until earnings, I think, is a little scary, but if you are convinced they are going to release or not into earnings, into the 10K, but if you're convinced they're going to release it, then I don't know if it gets that scary, right? I guess holding into NVIDIA earnings is scarier, but if I have a decent chunk in NVIDIA, I think NVIDIA is going to crush it, then, SMCI should crush it as well. So I think at this point, if you've held, you kind of keep holding, right? I mean, yeah, you can probably take some profits, but as long as they don't mess up the regulatory filings of their forms, then I think SMCI should be fine. Hopefully. As long as that doesn't change. What if the 10K doesn't match the earnings? Yeah, I mean, there are some implications there if that happens as well. Also, they didn't really release earnings yet. It was preliminary numbers. So SMCI still hasn't put out actual earnings. I don't know how to make sense of that, but nonetheless, the street seems like they don't care that much right now. Cancord raised their HIMS price target to 68 from 38. So you do have some price targets going on the street. Also, Bank of America raised it from 42 to 60 yesterday, even though they downgraded them. So HIMS is getting some love from Wall Street. 65.90. It is 10 cents away from going to 66. HIMS year to date, this stock is 160%, dude. Holy crap. There you go. 66 on HIMS. 66 on HIMS. I mean, talk about a growth stock this year, dude. Talk about market rotation. Market said we're not going to the Mag 7. We are going to HIMS. We are going to HIMS. I mean, that's pretty incredible, dude. That's pretty freaking incredible. Oklo right here is down about 3%. Rocket Lab is at 28. Archer Aviation's just going red. SMCI right here at 58.14. Currently at the moment. Tesla back to 360. All right, Tesla. Here you go. 361 on Tesla, up about 1.92%. Model Y, the new Model Ys are going to start to be produced in Shanghai. That came out yesterday. So that factory is ramping up the Model Y production. And then we talked about it yesterday, but Grok 3, I mean, I've been using it over the past 24 hours. It's good, bro. It's really good. It's impressive. And I would say it's slightly better than GPT on certain things right now for me. I haven't played with it enough to make a comparison that says it's definitively better than GPT, but on certain questions, GPT is nowhere close to what some of the stuff that Grok is pointing out. So I like it, and I think that's only more bullish for Tesla as they start incorporating the Grok technology into the Tesla cars themselves, hopefully in the latter half of this year, because that would be very exciting. Robinhood right here getting a little bit of a rebound after a 7% decline yesterday, 61.44. Nvidia right here, 138.85. That's down about 0.4%. SoFi down about 2% after hitting 17 yesterday. Walgreens was up 10% yesterday. Now it's down 2%. They were up because a private equity firm might continue to buy them out, but those talks are still up in the air. Alibaba 127. I think they have earnings soon as well. I think Alibaba reports soon. And then Bitcoin right here, 96,122 on the day. Is HIMS at 67? Oh my goodness, it touched 67. Okay, so I think HIMS is getting a short squeeze. I think that's what's happening. I think it's getting a short squeeze. I mean, it's hard to imagine anything else but this happening right now. Up another 13%. The short float, let me check the updated short float on HIMS. I think I should have it as of 2 weeks ago. It is HIMS short float. I'll check Palantir as well. HIMS is, wow. As of January 31st, the short float was 33%. 32.8. Yeah, that's why. I mean, the shorts are either covering or the retail army is continuing to pump it up, and that's creating some pressure on the shorts. Let me see Palantir's as of January 31st. Palantir, wow, only 3.4%. Dude, no one's messing with Palantir. No one. Like, Palantir obviously is the most expensive stock in the market, you could argue, from every conventional metric, and the shorts want nothing to do with it. That's how scared they are of Palantir. That's incredible, dude. It's the short float is actually down 15.7% on Palantir. I mean, dude, like, talk about just like scaring the shorts. Like, you would think if there's a stock to short conventionally, if I'm a short seller, I would think, okay, what's the most expensive name in the market? Palantir obviously pops up. You would think, okay, so maybe it's time to give it a short. Nope. They are staying away. Let me check SoFi and Hood as well. SoFi short float is 11.9%. That's down 5%. So still 12% of the stock is sold short. Robinhood is 2% or 1.85%. That's down 21%. Wow. The shorts took off their short float by about 21%. Now less than 2% of the float for Hood is short. And then Celsius, let's check that real quick. Celsius is at 22%. That's up 18% over the past month. So that could be another thing happening for Celsius. Maybe a little bit of a squeeze here. 22% is a hell of amount of shares that are sold short. They have a good earnings. Yeah, there's a world where Celsius squeezes the shorts as well, just like HIMS at 66.75. SMCI 57. SMCI giving back a decent amount of the gains. It was at 60, now at 57. So up for the day. Celsius is up 11%. Palantir 122.76. Whereas Grab's at 522. That's down about 2%. Nvidia 138. Google 186. And then Tesla right here 363. That is up 2.6%. What is the short float for Tesla? Let's find out right now. Short float for Tesla is 2%. Yeah, I mean, Tesla is not really being affected by the shorts. Tesla is just more so affected by narratives and growth and yada yada. But the days of the shorts really messing with it, I think that was a couple years ago. Now the shorts are kind of just not going to take a chance on Optimus or FSD having that much progress. Meta is down 2%. All right, so Meta looks like it wants to go back below 700. I don't think that's crazy. Meta stock year to date, even with the 3-day decline that we've had on Meta, is still up 17%, which I don't think anyone can complain about. So Meta consolidating at these levels, I don't think it's crazy. Oh yeah, what's the short float for Grab? That's a good question. I'm going to predict 7%. That's my prediction. Grab is 5.2%. All right, nothing too crazy. So 5.2% of Grab is short. My cost basis on Grab is about 470. About 470. Okay, is Rocket Lab down? Let's sell some puts on Rocket Lab. All right, Rocket Lab's basically flat right here. So let's do this. I am thinking $21 on Rocket Lab. And I'm thinking about going out a month. I would sell a ton of puts on Grab, to be honest, but they're not letting me buy or sell any more contracts because I reached the limit. At 1 a.m. yesterday, I messaged the guy on Robinhood support. I was like, dude, please, like, can you just, this is the second time I messaged him. I was like, I just want to sell some puts. And he was like, I'm sorry. It's not up to me. I was like, all right, man. All right. All right, so here's what I'm doing. I'm going to do the $22 put. The $22 put is giving me 93 cents of premium. Is that correct? 92. So we are selling a $22 put for March 21st. That's about a month from now. We are going to get $92 per collateralizing 2,200. How do I get 2,200? Because 22 times 100, which is a 4.1% return. I would be more than happy to buy Rocket Lab at $22. Which actually would be 22 minus 91. It would be 21.09. That would be my cost basis. And that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to sell 25 of these. We're going to sell 25 of these. All right, here we go. 25 puts. We're putting it in. Let's see if it sells. Okay, I have to reduce this by about a penny. We're going to do 91 instead of 92. And we should get this to go. All right, cool. So Rocket Lab 22, I'm in. If it falls to 22, we will be buying some shares. I picked up about $2,200 of credit and collateralized about 55 grand. So that's what we got on Rocket Lab. Amid Trevor Milton is taking a victory lap from prison. He just posted. Really? Didn't he say a couple of weeks ago that he was going to be telling the true story about what happened with Nikola? Huh. It looks like. Yeah. Wow. Look at this. Look at what he just posted. Holy crap. Holy crap. Oh, I'm going to be on a spaces with Brett. Brett right here. I'm going to be on a spaces with him about Rocket Lab next week. So next week after earnings, we'll be talking to him. He has been in Rocket Lab for a while. And I'll be discussing more about what he thinks about the company as well. All right. So here's what Trevor Milton just posted. I saw the Nikola bankruptcy from a mile away. When I left the company, I left them almost $1 billion in cash. Wow. What narcissism, bro. When I left the company, I left them $1 billion. You mean when you left after you kind of scammed investors? We owned all of our assets. We were ahead and built the first production intent trucks in the United States and later delivered the first trucks in production. We had incredible partnerships. This is what happens when you frame a founder for a crime they didn't commit, destroy the company's brand, lie to shareholders, take huge salaries, pillage the company's IP, and run off into the sunset like the current management has done. Complete corruption that is rewarded by the government. I think that he's not telling the full story here. I think that he's not telling the full story. So I mean, let's see what ends up happening. But Nikola does go bankrupt today. They are officially done. They are no longer traded, down about 40% right here. And Trevor Milton saying it's not his fault. It was the company's fault. That's wild, bro. He's like, yeah, I didn't really scam anybody, but I left them $1 billion anyway, so it's not my fault. I don't know. I guess the full story we'll eventually find out about what happened there. Palantir back to 123. Hims. Oh my goodness. This thing is almost $69. Holy freaking crap. Holy crap. This thing's about to go to 69. Let me check the wall at 69. Yo, who's in Hims? Put in the chat if you're in Hims. If you're in Hims, how much of the chat? Let me make a poll. How much of the chat is in Hims? Are you in Hims? Yes or no? And if you're in Hims, why didn't you tell me about this stock, dude? Why did you let this go to 160% and not? No, I thought we were closer than that, 69 has 2,000 shares, dude. That's nothing. It's about to hit 69. It's about to hit 69 in like a second. It's about to hit 69, dude. Okay, so 70% of you don't have Hims out of 400 votes. So the majority of you don't have Hims, but the ones that do obviously are. Yeah, there you go, 69. Goodness gracious, bro. Goodness gracious, this is intense. Someone said I sold at 65, no regrets. Yeah, I mean, dude, if you got in at dude, this thing was $2 back in 2023. Shout out to Bergman, Adam. You guys know him. He was making videos on Hims before anyone was making videos on Hims. And I think he sold at 11 or $10 or whatever, but he made a nice gain. And, for those that held on to the ride, you made some money. Yeah, you guys remember Adam told us about it at 3, right? He was one of the only YouTubers who was making videos about Hims back in late 2022. Goodness gracious, dude. 60. It's about to hit 70. Where's 70? The resistance on 70 is 2,000 shares. That's nothing. That's nothing. That is not. It's about to hit 70. Why not? Might as well hit 70. Tesla right here, 364. SMCI 56. SMCI giving back a lot of the gains. Celsius still up 11%. Palantir back to 123. Nikola again, officially filing for bankruptcy. And then Rocket Lab is up 1.5% at 28.21. Wow. This is up, dude. This is a big one. I mean, but this is also like, even if you don't have HIMS, this is what you should be wanting to see out of the market, right? We should be wanting to see this type of rotation. I don't know enough about HIMS, but it hit 70, by the way. At the end of the day, if the market's giving money to HIMS over Amazon, and HIMS is only a $15 billion market cap, yeah, that's creating more prosperity, more wealth for different parts of the market. So the rich aren't just getting richer. You have new shareholder classes that are participating in the bull run. And at the end of the day, you want to see a company that is only worth 15 billion get some love versus a company that's worth 2 trillion continue to get stronger if the earnings don't justify it necessarily to get to 2.5 trillion, at least not yet. So I think it's healthy. I think it's not the craziest thing. SoundHound right here. NVIDIA liquidated their stake. They're up 2.7%. Serve Robotics is up 10%. Bitcoin. So Michael Saylor is officially raising $2 billion at a 0% coupon. The funny thing about this is, and I don't know if it's just me, but no one cares anymore, right? Like, does anyone care? Even Bitcoin as a just like investment, people have kind of stopped talking about it as much. So Strategy announced a proposed private offering of $2 billion of convertible notes, 0%. They're not diluting shareholders to be able to buy Bitcoin. They haven't used the money to buy Bitcoin yet, but it seems like the hype around it is just not that interesting anymore. It's just not as interesting. Amit, what price did you sell puts on Grab? At $5. $5 is, well, I can't sell puts because it's stopping me from getting contracts, but 5 is what I'm looking at. I think even at $5, you're getting like 7% for February 28th, which, look, if you're getting like 40 cents and you have to buy it at 4.60 instead of 5, like, I'm more than happy buying Grab at those levels. So I like the $5 put going into February 28th. They just got to crush earnings today. I mean, they really do. They have to show that they are the company that people think they can become. Grab right here down 2%. And if they can, I think it'll be good for them. But today's going to be very, very important to see if they can pull it off. All the crypto people just talk about meme coins right now. That is so true. That is so, you know what really hurts my soul about this? Robin, by the way, back at almost 62. Dave Portnoy, who I like the guy. I like what he does with the One Bite Pizza Show. I like the money he donates to small businesses. He's turned into like this meme coin rug puller who every other day is tweeting about a new meme coin. And it's just sad because like the guy's already rich. Like for an extra couple $1 million by rug pulling the general public, I just feel like it's just so grimy and I hate seeing it. But yeah, a lot of crypto is devolving into meme coins, which, I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, I don't think it's the healthiest, but a lot of that attention is definitely leaving the asset classes that matter, like Bitcoin, and it's going into nonsense. Now, granted, some nonsense coins like Fartcoin, they are down about 70% from the peak. So Fartcoin now at 31 cents. It was at $1.70 when Trump got inaugurated. So we are seeing some normalcy come back to some of the meme coins, but other ones are going crazy every single day. Every single day. You mean Davey Day Trader? Yes, Davey Day Trader is constantly rug pulling. And the thing about it is he's like, well, look, buy it at your own risk. That's every tweet he puts out. He's like, hey, I'm buying it. It's up to you guys if you want to buy it, but I'm probably going to sell it. So he's warning people he's going to do the rug pull. But I don't know what it is about the meme coin community. They're like, they think that they can get out before the rug is pulled. And then next thing you know, you got people that lose 90% because Dave Portnoy has more money to play with, so he can get in and out quicker. And these other people are left with an asset that literally does nothing. So it's sad, but that's kind of how the crypto community is operating right now. Palantir right here at 123, Archer at 1049, SMCI 57, and then Tesla right here at 363. Would you buy Meta at 700? No, I would not buy Meta at 700. I don't think Meta is expensive at 700. I just think if all the Max 7 are kind of flat liar, there's a world where Meta joins the rest of the Max 7 and the market kind of stops giving Meta the benefit, right, of being like that one Max 7 that deserves the premium. Now, do they deserve the premium? Yes. I mean, I still think Meta's cheap on a forward basis, trading at a 27 PE. Like, I don't think that's expensive. But I don't know if that's, I'd buy Google over Meta. I'd buy Google over Meta. At 18 times 2026 earnings, I like Google more than Meta right here. Even though Meta as a company might be in a little bit more of a healthier spot than Google, I'd buy the Googs. So I want to buy the Max 7 cheap, dude. I don't want to buy the Max 7 on a run, just like Nvidia. A lot of people got a chance to buy them cheap. If we get those opportunities again for other Max 7 names, then I would be excited. Amit, do you know much about Oscar Health? I have not looked into it. I know a lot of you guys are thinking about that one. Actually, Chris was looking into that one. I was talking with Chris the other day. He's looking at it as well. None of us have bought it yet, but we are looking at this. The numbers, Steve was looking at this as well. The numbers are not horrible on Oscar Health, but no position yet. So we're going to have to take some time to deep dive and see if there's anything there. Dave Portnoy was doing GameStop and likes gambling. That's his personality. Have you seen the Dave Portnoy Vlad interview during the GameStop debacle? First of all, thank you for the $5 super chat. Yeah, I saw the Vlad interview. Vlad definitely got hit pretty badly from that interview. It was not a good PR moment for Vlad. But it's not about liking gambling. It's about Portnoy intentionally like scamming people, you know? And you can change the definition of scam if you want. But I'm just not a fan of someone with massive influence pumping something and then dumping it. And even if they tell you they're going to pump and dump it, it's like, it's just weird, bro. Like he's an American success. Dude, he was selling newspapers in Southern Boston when he was 17 years old for like a quarter a newspaper. And he built it into this multi-$100 million media company, which is Barstool. And now he's rug pulling on meme coins. Like, it's just, I don't know. It rubs me the wrong way. I don't like it. I don't necessarily like it. What about Nubank? Let's look at Nubank. How's Nubank doing today? Nubank right here, 1342. That's down about 0.9%. Again, the dollar. Oh, let me go to some macro stats. Let's talk about that. The dollar is still up. This is also not going to be the best for grab. So the dollar went up about 7% in the past quarter. So that is going to be a currency headwind from an FX perspective on grab. So I think they could have a good earnings today, but if the market is annoyed at the lack of growth due to currency fluctuations, that could be something that we have to think about. I think the market's more so going to care about 2025 guidance more than anything, but that is a headwind. And then the 10-year right here is at 4.54%. That dollar is not the best for Nubank or Mercado Libre either. Also, Nubank's up 30% year to date. So it makes sense that they're kind of consolidating here. But if that dollar can get back to 101, 102, I think that would be a tailwind for Grab and Nubank. But that's not happening right now. 4 is down 19%. Okay, so this is the company that Tanner's at right now. Tanner's at an event in Vegas for Shift 4 payments. He got invited to their investor day. That's why we didn't do Hood Weekly either. They're down 15%. I don't know why they're down 15%, but I'm assuming there's a reason. I don't think they had earnings. If I'm not wrong, I don't think they had earnings, but there's got to be some reason why they are getting hit right here. Oh no, they did have earnings. They disappointed on revenue growth with Q4 below Q3. Okay, so that's why they're down. So sequentially, revenue growth was down, missed on revenue. All right, look, I don't know enough about Shift 4. Never really studied the company that in depth. I know Jarek Isaacson. I still think he's leaving. He's the CEO to join NASA. I don't know if that's happening or not happening anymore. He used to work at NASA. Year to date, it's down 1%. Over the past year, it's up 40%. It is another one of those fintech companies, $9.7 billion market cap. But I guess the miss on revenue is what got the street kind of upset today. Are you following Toast? I'll cover it on earnings today. I don't know enough about the company, but yeah, we'll cover Toast on earnings today. After the bell, they're down about 3% right here. But I don't know that much about the company itself. Shout out to Nate. Nate's been long Hims for a long time. Nate must be loving this right here. Hims at 68. I mean, this is a hell of a run. So shout out to you, Nate. You are you got to be up like 5 or 6x on this thing at this point. This is a pretty massive move on Hims. SoFi's falling. Dude, I was so happy to see SoFi at 17. I still have 200 shares of SoFi at 17.30. I kind of just want to sell them, dude. I want to sell them and like put it into Nvidia or put it into Tesla. But I'm like, I have my options on SoFi. I'm happy having that. But like the shares, like I thought I was going to build a position of shares a couple weeks ago. And then I'm just like, dude, I don't care enough about SoFi to like really build a position of shares. I'm happy with the options I have, but I don't know. Just don't know if I really, really want to have that many shares. Yeah, market's going red. Market's definitely going red right here. We're getting a little bit of red across the board, which again, I think is not crazy, probably healthy. Grab right here is down 3%, getting a little bit of sell-off before earnings. If Grab goes below 5, I will probably cop another 1,000 shares before earnings. Let's see if we can do that. Hood, at this point, just, again, take it below 60. Like, if they're going to take away all the earnings pump, then take it below 60 and let us get to actually buy a real dip. That's the thing about dips, right? Like if you're actually going to give us a dip, give us a dip. Don't give us this like fluctuating back and forth, down 0.5%, down 2%. Like give us a good 5-10% and let us get back in. Celsius Celsius not giving us a dip, up 13%. Oklo down 7%, so a little bit of risk off right there. And then HIMS right here at 68.42. That one is not slowing down yet. Continuing to maintain some momentum right here. Nebis is selling off. Yeah, Nebis is selling off as well. That one got a big move yesterday. You know, a lot of these companies that got moved outside of HIMS and Palantir, quite frankly, HIMS and Palantir have been the only ones that have just gone vertical. The rest of these names are taking breathers. Tesla's taking a breather. Intel's taking a breather after going up 15%. Now it's down 5%. Oklo's taking a nice breather after going up 90%. It's down about 10%. Like, got some of these names that are just chilling. TTD is not even breathing anymore. I mean, like, that's not believe it. Audio. Hold on. Now, are we better? Hold on. Let me see. Are we better? Yes. Are we better? Yeah, we're good, right? Let me see. We're good. I think we're good, right? We're good. Dude, this is StreamYard. This is being stupid. Yes. This is StreamYard. Yeah, it's good. Hold on. Let me change one thing right here. Okay, now it should be better. Yes, can we get some thumbs up in the chat? Better? If not, I'm just gonna switch the mic. I think this StreamYards, bro, it does this every after like 2. I feel like it's I don't know, after 2 hours, it just like messes with the mic. We're good. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Dude, if I could short StreamYard, oh my god, I would short StreamYard, bro. I wish these guys go public, even though I pay them $500 a year. Like, short the crap out of them. But honestly, it probably would be a bad short because there's no other successful streaming platforms. There's just really not. The rest of them suck. I tried the rest of them. They're not that good. They're just not that good. It's not the mic. I'm telling you, it's not the mic. It really isn't the mic. Oh wait, is it messing up again? Hold on. No, it's still messing up. All right, hold on. Let me switch. It's being dumb. Okay. This should be better. Are we officially better now? This should be much better. Yes. Yes, this should be much better. All right. It's dumb, dude. It's being dumb. Yeah, we switched it. All right. Let's see what the suits are talking about. Let's see what they're saying, and then we'll keep going from there. What else do we have going on across the street? Oh, we got housing data. All right, new housing starts. Let's see what's going on there. Housing starts. Let's see what's happening here. Mortgage rates are down below 7% finally. So we do have mortgage rates coming down a little bit. But we got to see if housing can start catching a little bit more of a bid. All right, let's pull this up here. Amit, do you think Palantir would do a stock split? No, I don't think that's going to happen. That's going to take some time for that. I think at $500 we get there, but it'll take some time to get there.
From housing data, the futures right now, as you can see, the Dow has worsened a little, triple digits now. NASDAQ also was almost got to unchanged. Necessarily, Diana.
Not surprising, but Joe, you know, I always like to separate out the multifamily versus a single family. And in single family starts, we did see a steep drop of 8.4% month to month, 1.8% year over year. Also a drop in multifamily, but that tends to be a lot more volatile. And the reason this is so important, we did see yesterday in the NAHB's sentiment index that sentiment dropped dramatically, down 5 points to a 5-month low. And that was mostly on concerns over tariffs. But what we saw in January, because these are January numbers, numbers, and we didn't hear about the tariffs till the end of January, is that mortgage rates started January 1st at 6.97% and then went straight up, hitting a high of 7.26% on January 13th. So the builders are clearly reacting to the high mortgage rates. We saw that from Toll Brothers yesterday, remarking on higher mortgage rates and affordability. We've heard other builders talk about that. Pulte Homes talked about the difficulties in affordability. So the home builders are clearly looking at whether or not they can get buyers in the door. The NAHB survey showed that future sales expectations, it dropped the most, down 13 points. So that's why you're seeing the drop in starts and the drop in building permits, which are, of course, an indicator of future construction. So again, it's not surprising, but we are at the very start of the all-important spring housing market, and that's when you want to see builders start to ramp up production. Some people will say, yes, there's been a lot of bad weather, but these are seasonally adjusted, and year over year, we're still seeing the declines. So I think this is just builders pulling back because they're concerned about affordability, they're concerned about potential tariffs and the cost, because it's not just their materials, it's land and it's labor, and labor is getting more expensive too, because such a large part of the labor market in home construction is from immigrants. So again,
we need rates to come down for the housing market to really benefit. But given the inflation data that you guys have seen, CPI and PPI increasing, we're not getting rate cuts anytime soon. Now, it's nice to see mortgage rates are coming down, 6.93. It's not that much below 7, but at least it's not going above 7. Tesla right here is up 3%. SMCI as well up 5%. But we need rates to come down to fix this housing crisis that we're having. And I don't know, it might take a little bit of time for that to happen. NVIDIA right here, 137. We're getting a decent amount of stocks taking a little bit of a dip. Google basically going red. Grab's down 3%. Microsoft's down 0.5%. Oklow's down 7%. AppLovin's down 3%. Trade Desk down 3%. MicroStrategy down 0.5%. NVIDIA down 1.2%. AMD's down. Getting some red, kind of a 10 a.m. Or maybe pre-10:30 sense of profit taking that we're getting right here. GameStop right here down 1.4%. Grab right here 3.4. I mean, if they give it below 5, I'll buy more. Let's see if we can get it down below 5, and maybe we'll buy even at these levels. Let's see how long it stays at these points. But it is down. Oscar right here is flat, and then Google going flat on the day. Microsoft or Meta below 700 as well. HUD's looking like it wants to retest 60. Yes. Again, at this point, just give it to us, bro. Just give it to us. Bumble is down 27%. Their earnings were bad. Interesting about Bumble is that they were a $14 billion company for in 2021. They're now a $635 million company. This is why I think 2021 and 2025 are hard to compare, because you had some companies that just obviously Bumble was not worth $15 billion, and it's down 90% from those levels. Are there any companies right now that could be down 90% in a couple of years? I mean, put it in the chat if you think there's any tickers, but are there some that are expensive? Yeah, down 90% from those 2021 peaks. I don't know if there's that, man. There's more than Bumble. There's a lot of companies like Bumble that actually were, agree, like DNA, Ginkgo Bioworks. I mean, there's so many of them, all the SPACs. Even Grab, dude. Grab was almost 20 billion in 2021. Like it was 60 billion it was $60 billion in 2021. It did not deserve to be worth 60 billion, right? So I think that is a bit of a difference from now and what we saw in 2021. Here's Dan Ives. We got him on CNBC. Let's see what he has to say about the tech sector, and then we'll keep going from there.
He sees another 12 to 15% acceleration in the supply chain for NVIDIA and big tech. Let's see what happens with potential tariffs on semiconductors. He also says, quote, demand is far outstripping supply with Blackwell in the field, as top tech picks include NVIDIA, Palantir, and Apple, which also expected to unveil new products today. So we got a lot to talk about with Dan Ives. He's Wedbush Security Global Head of Technology Research. He joins us now from Asia, brightly colored as usual. Dan, I guess maybe just to start things off, tell us what you're seeing on the ground there as it pertains to demand for the semiconductor space.
Yeah, I mean, since October, we're seeing about a 12 to 15% increase in terms of demand. And that's significant, clearly a good barometer going into NVIDIA next week. But I think it just shows these enterprise use cases are exploding. And that is really accelerating demand because no one wants to sort of lose their spot in line. And I think that's just more and more bullish for the AI revolution, the second, third, fourth derivatives. I mean, that's so far from our trip, very, very bullish and feeling really good going into NVIDIA next week.
Is NVIDIA still a top pick for you? Everything you're seeing there just reinforcing what you like?
I think it's a table pounder. I think it's going to be a $4 trillion and eventually $5 trillion market cap. because there's only one red phone to call for these chips. It's the godfather of AI, Jensen, NVIDIA. And what I'd also tell you, and we talk about in the note, from a DeepSeek perspective, 45, 50 enterprises, not one has changed plans post DeepSeek. I think it just shows this CapEx doubling down. That's what we're seeing across, not just big tech, but across enterprise.
Dan, there were some takes last week on this AI summit in Europe where some of the survey work being done had some constituents saying, yeah, we're curious, but we're not seeing outright value on these investments quite yet. Where do you think AI, how much of IT budgets does it make up, and how much could it get to?
Yeah. I mean, Carl, I think that's why you look at names like Palantir, right? It kind of sort of the golden child in terms of use cases, monetization, as it's already playing out. We believe everything we're seeing, it's about 10% of IT budgets, and in some cases, 15%. Now, look, there are some enterprise and, of course, places around the world that are not going down the AI path, of course, but they're going to have to delay their initiatives for, I'd say, 12, 18 months, because right now, demand's outstripping supply 15-1. And that's why I sit here and I think tech stocks are going to be up another 25% this year, despite tariffs, despite nervousness, worries about stretch valuation. I think Street is massively underestimating what demand looks like in this AI revolution, second, third, fourth derivatives.
And so if demand is going to be that strong, and you just mentioned tariffs, I mean, do you think tariffs are somewhat of a non-issue, meaning you're just going to pay what you have to pay because you need these chips to do what you've planned to do?
Yeah, and Courtney, you're talking about with Eamon before. I mean, I think this is all a poker game, right? And I think, it's very easy to get nervous in terms of first shots across the bow. I don't believe it's going to massively impact the chip and overall AI revolution. I think there's also going to be some, I think some gaps in terms of whether it's Apple, Tesla, potentially, some opportunities that they could ultimately not really even be impacted by some of the tariffs as this all plays out. But what we're seeing here in Asia, less nervousness about tariffs than maybe even 6 weeks ago. And that's bullish when you look at this relative to overall demand and what's going to really be a game of high stakes poker between DC and Beijing.
Finally, Dan, you mentioned Apple. We're on the lookout for this newest member of the family announcement. Any clarity in your mind what we should expect?
Yeah, look, I think it's another product that's going to just fuel more and more of what I believe is just a broader, not just upgrade cycle, but Apple is going to continue to see this renaissance of growth. I think when you sort of look at the price point from an SE perspective, especially emerging markets, especially developing markets, I think India more and more is going to become a bigger market. This just shows Cupertino is not just going to play on the high end. They're going to focus on middle market. They're going to focus on rolling out Apple Intelligence. We think to China really soon with Alibaba as a partner. And that's why, look, haters will hate in Apple, but the first one to hit $4 trillion will be Apple, in our opinion, followed by NVIDIA.
Viewers want to know, Dan, if your jackets are as popular on that side of the planet as they are on this side.
They are. I mean, they are. I could tell you across Asia, I think really, really bullish on the colors. And, it's nice to see that on both sides.
I know you might be a Penn State fan, but that looks a little OSU Scarlet to me. Dan, thank you very much for joining us.
I give credit where credit's due. Congrats.
Dude, his jackets are iconic. That is literally his brand. Also, Dan Ives is coming out with an ETF from what I saw. It was filed yesterday. He's coming out with an ETF. I don't have the ticker on the ETF yet. I don't think there is any ticker. But it looks like that's how Dan is choosing to use his celebrity in the Wall Street tech space, is to launch an ETF. So I believe that ETF, if I'm not wrong, by the way, Tesla getting a lot of love, is going to be an AI-oriented ETF. If I was him, I would make the ticker symbol something to resemble like 9 p.m. at the party or something like that. I don't know how you would do that, but I saw the filing for it yesterday, and it looks like in the prospectus it said Tesla, Palantir, Tesla, and NVIDIA are going to be the top holdings, and then they're going to be adding some other names. So yeah, I mean, it looks like he's going to come out with a way to kind of play the AI revolution. Yeah, this is what it's called right here. So this is the filing. Wedbush Ives AI Revolution ETF. it is going to be the Dan Ives AI 30 research report at Wedbush Securities. And we don't have a ticker on that yet, but it's going to be his way of navigating AI. The fees, so we don't have the fees yet on it either. I hope the fees are below 1% because usually that would be more attractive for investors, but that's where these guys make a lot of their money. So the way the ETFs work, from my understanding of it, is you have to raise a shit ton of money and then you collect money on the fees. The reason Meet Kevin had to shut down his ETF is because he wasn't able to raise a ton of money because just people weren't buying the ETF, because to be honest, most of the ETF was in treasury bonds. So why would people buy the ETF, right? Because he's been a bit bearish for the past couple of, I would say for the past basically year, past at least like 7-8 months. So the reason it's shutting down is because there's not enough AUM to be able to get a fee on. But someone like Dan Ives, I think Dan Ives could get, I think he can get a couple $100 million into that ETF with his brand. So if that is the case, then that is something that could work out for him. Palantir right here at 122, Celsius at 25.75, Grabs at 515, S&Ps at 6,000, SoFi 1639, and then HIMS right here 68.46. Still green on the day. All right, so let's do a little buying. Let's do some buying here. So we sold some puts on Rocket Lab. I want Hood to get below 60 to really buy. So I'm going to wait on Hood. But for Grab, I think we're going to buy 1,000 shares. I think earnings is going to be good. I would be selling puts on Grab if I was allowed to, but I hit the limit. So I think we're going to do 1,000 shares. That's it, 1,000 shares. Let's do that on Grab. I mean, could it drop below 5? Yeah, if earnings suck, but I don't think earnings are going to suck. I think it's going to be good. Now, the one way earnings will suck is if they don't become profitable. Now, I don't think that's going to be a bad thing, and as a long-term shareholder, I kind of wouldn't care because it's just one quarter. But because they were profitable last quarter, if they kind of reverse this trend, I think the street would be upset at that, even if they have really good metrics across the rest of the earnings. So, that could be one thing that could get the stock to be negative. All right, cool. We bought 1,000 shares of Grab. There you go. 515. There you go. Before earnings. So we are in 515. I only have 2,000 shares of Grab. I have most of my position in options, but my average now in Grab is 498. I bought 1,000 shares at 482 last week. So 2,000 shares on Grab, average is 498 on the shares. On the options, the average is closer to 465 to 470. What about the Grab warrants? Look, the Grab warrants are going up a lot, and I don't think they're horrible. But again, it's not the stock, right? The warrants eventually will expire. So, and the warrants have to be at the right strike price before they expire for you to make money. So to me, I'd rather stick with the stock, but I understand people going for the warrants instead. I think they were up like 40% yesterday. So the warrants do move at a better delta to the stock, but it's just, it's a little bit more risky if you get into the warrants. Palantir right here, 121, Celsius 25. I don't want to sell puts on Hood until we get below 60 either. Like, give me 58, 59, and then I'll sell puts at 55 for a good premium. But it's at this point, if it's giving back all of its earnings gains, then let it actually correct, and then we'll sell some puts on it. Again, even with this, Hood is up 45% year to date. So, or sorry, more than 45. It's like 58% year to date. It's 52%. So I think this is a pretty healthy consolidation. I think it's stupid. I think the downgrade yesterday from Wolf Research, which was actually ahead of the Hood story from all the other analysts, downgrading them because they think a lot's priced in. I just think that's denying a lot of the growth that they have coming up. I mean, they have a March event coming up in San Francisco about Robinhood Gold. I was re-listening to the earnings call. I think Robinhood is basically going to do what all these stock screeners are doing, where you have to like pick a ticker and then try to find like the price to earnings, the price to sales, and the qualitative data, the reports, etc. They're going to put it all into one app for Robinhood Gold. I think they're basically going to come up with a research LLM and have AI tools to help people research stock. And I think research different stocks. And I think that's going to create only more user engagement on the platform. Robinhood officially below 60. There you go, 59.97. And I think that's going to be a major offering for the product as well. So I just think there's a lot of catalysts coming up on Hood. And if it wants to go back to where it was before earnings, that's fine. But those are dips that I would definitely buy. But I also think it's healthy, dude. I can't lie. I think it's healthy. I think it's okay for Hood to be down from where, like, the spike on earnings was great and I was happy and I think everyone was happy, but it's also okay for the street to digest those results and say, all right, we're going to let them grow into it. We're not going to give it to them all at once. Like, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. The only stock that doesn't happen for is Palantir. It's the only stock that it's Palantir. It's the only one. Palantir doesn't have any digestion phase. Palantir just gets the results and keeps going. Why is Celsius up? They're going to have earnings tomorrow, and the street's a bit excited about their earnings. They announced it last night. Up 12.62% here right now. Oxo said, just took out my initial from SMCI, letting the rest ride. All right, so who's taking profits on SMCI, or at least who's taking their initials out of SMCI? Is anyone taking advantage of it? Where is SMCI? SMCI 5986. Put in the chat if you're using this to get a little liquid on SMCI. Albert, thank you for the $10 super chat. What are your thoughts on switching my position from NVIDIA to hood? I think, first of all, it depends on your cost basis on NVIDIA, right? If you've been in it for a long time. If you just got in at 140, I don't know, dude. 140 on NVIDIA versus 60 on hood. I don't think there's any reason to switch, because it's not like, unless you got into NVIDIA when it was like 100 and you have a nice profit and now you want to rotate, I think that's fine. But realistically, I don't see the logic behind rotating, other than you just wanting to get out of semis and get into something that's more of a proxy on the bull market, which is hood. But I don't think that rotation makes a ton of sense, just like a sector-wide, unless your portfolio is overweight semis, right? If you were in another fintech and you wanted to dump it for hood, I could understand, like maybe there's some logic there. But I think given NVIDIA already went through the DeepSeek round trip, I don't think it's going back down $600 billion. So to me, NVIDIA is still a hold, especially before earnings. I think NVIDIA can have a decent run. And if NVIDIA does, then maybe SMCI does as well. June said, I sold Enphase this morning on the dip. A bunch of you guys are taking some profits on SMCI, which is fair. A lot of you guys are also holding as well. Jem said, I sold my calls. Even's holding SMCI. Oh, yeah, some of you guys sold 50%. Yeah, there you go. I mean, selling half is not a horrible idea either. What about shifting from SoFi to hood? Again, it depends on how much belief you have in SoFi versus hood, right? I don't know. I like, personally, I believe more in hood than SoFi. I believe more in hood than PayPal or Affirm. So if there's other fintechs, I like hood over every other fintech, just because I think Vlad is a product focused guy and he doesn't care what anyone thinks, right? He's going for building the best product. SoFi to me has always been lacking a little bit of product focus, but then again, Robinhood is way more expensive than SoFi. Don't get it twisted, right? Hood is trading at a 20 times price to sales. SoFi is trading at a 6. Now Hood is obviously growing a lot more and they have a lot more momentum, but still it's a bit more expensive buying Hood here than SoFi. It is funny though, because one time I remember last year I bought Hood at $22 and SoFi was at $7.50. And someone was like, do you really think Hood is going to double here before SoFi doubles? And it's like, Hood has tripled. Hood has tripled since that buy. And SoFi has doubled, but I mean, it's barely holding its double, right? At 16 from 750. So it's just been a totally different narrative on Robinhood since then. AMD right here, 114. You got Walgreens at 1091. SoundHound now is down for the day. Alibaba is down. Coinbase is down. Let me go to earnings. Coinbase getting destroyed after earnings, which I thought is unreasonable. I thought Coinbase had an amazing earnings, but Coinbase is down almost 15% from those earnings last week. Here are some of the other earnings we had. Etsy beat on EPS 103 versus 0.94. They missed on revenue. Etsy is down 10%. Etsy is like a smaller version of Shopify, but not as advanced or as tech-driven as Shopify, in my opinion. Wingstop had earnings. Wingstop, 92 cents versus 87 cents a share. That's a beat. 161 versus 164. That's a miss on revenue. Wingstop down 12%. So Wingstop as well was down. Wingstop right here, their stock is down 8% year to date. It's down 17% over the past year. So Wingstop having a little bit of pain. What else besides Wingstop and Etsy? We talked about SolarEdge. Analog Devices. I don't know if you guys know this one. Ticker symbol ADI. They beat on EPS. They beat on revenue. ADI right here. This is a $114 billion company. I feel like I should know more about this. This is a big company. They are up 5% after their earnings as well. Okay, cool. There we go. So those were the earnings that we had. Today. Someone says, Amit, what are your top 3 gainer picks for 2025? All right, so I'll pose that question to the chat. What do you guys think are the top 3 names that are going to gain in 2025, aka basically the top 3 best performing stocks of 2025. What do you guys think? We're about a month and a half into the year. What are people's perspectives on the top 3 winners of 2025? I feel like Hims has to be in the list already, right? Because I mean, it's already, unless they mess up, they're already starting with a pretty nice advantage, up 140%. I don't know what my top 3 picks are. I don't know, dude. I feel like it's so early to tell. I mean, Palantir is already up 60%. I think Palantir is going to be in that list, theoretically. There might be some small caps that outperform it. I think NVIDIA could be in that list. I think Meta could be in that list. Hell, SoFi, you never know. I mean, SoFi, even from here, it could get up to 26, 27. That could be in the list. Hood has a chance to be in the list. Hood's already up a lot. So I think there's a lot of candidates that could be there, but the overall theme I think we're getting from this is that it still is a stock pickers market more than anything. NVIDIA right here trying to get back to 140. It still is a stock pickers market. Palantir 122, 122.4. DeepSeek, yeah, DeepSeek is gonna be the win right here. Jed says SMCI, Rocket Lab, and Tesla. Okay, SJ says SoFi, Hims, NVIDIA. Peter says Tesla, Palantir, NVIDIA. John says Tesla, Hood, and Grab. Randy says Nebis, Palantir, SMCI. A lot of the usual candidates I'm seeing here. Look, Rocket Lab might be up there as well. They have earnings coming up soon. They got to deliver on earnings. Rocket Lab now year to date is up 9%. It's up 460% of the past year, though. Like, it's really had a phenomenal year. Where's XRP, dude? I haven't looked at XRP in a minute. Let's see. Where's XRP? All right, it's up 1%, 259. It's not at $3 anymore, but XRP is still green. Let's give a call to Steve. Let's see if he picks up. We can let him take a victory lap on SMCI. I'm sure he would like to. Let's see if he picks up. Yeah, Moderna's pumping. I saw this as well. Moderna is pumping right here. That's green right here. Steve, good morning. You're on the Market Open.
Well, I guess I'm somewhere.
Oh, sorry. Of course. You're not on the Market Open. You are. Dude, you have an echo. Okay, he's got to call me back. Of course. He's just, whenever I call him, he's like doing something weird, bro. Trying to get his stuff in order. All right, let's call him again. Calling Steve always feels like he's asleep. Yes, that is true. All right, let's call him again. All right, are we good? Can you hear me? I hate him so much. I hate him so much. I'm going to wait till he calls me back. He'll probably call me back. Yo, we have FOMC minutes today. Is someone in the Fed talking today? If we have minutes, that's important. That's going to be some market news that we have. That could also be why the market's selling off a little bit. Steve, can you hear me? You have an echo, bro. I'm going to text him. He has an echo. He usually never has an echo. You have an echo. Okay, minutes. So that's going to come out at 2:30. So at 2:30, then we'll get those numbers, and we're going to have to see what that looks like. Tesla right there at 363, Palantir 122 right now. I'm going to just send him the link on StreamYard. It's probably easier. He should be able to join from there. Okay, so if we have the minutes today, then that's going to be important. Is JPow talking today at all? I don't think he's going to be talking. Did you buy my grab? Yes, I bought 1,000 shares today at 5:15. Where's Hood? Are we still below 60 on Hood? We are 50. Yeah, there you go. That's the dip I'm looking for. All right, let's get lower, dude. It's not giving away all the earnings pump because we were at 54 before earnings, so it's still up a nice amount, but it's definitely giving away that 65 level that it was at. I think this is people taking profits. I don't think there's anything like logical for why Hood's going down, especially after those January metrics. I think it's people taking profits. Also, I mean, we're going to have high rates for longer, dude. I mean, we're not cutting rates anytime soon. That's also bullish for Hood. So I think from a lot of macro angles, Hood's in a good spot, but people are probably taking profits here. Okay, let's get an update on Trump tariffs. I'll try to get Steve on in a little bit. Let's see what we have regarding the tariffs, and then we will keep going from there. When did you last buy Hood? I last bought Hood at 62. So I actually bought right after earnings at 62. So I will sell puts at 55, but I want to see how much lower we can go.
Later today. So Eamon Javers is here with the latest from the White House on what we actually know or don't. Hi, Eamon.
Hey there, Courtney. President Trump is in Miami today, where he's going to participate in the Saudi-backed FII Summit. It's a gathering of business executives who are going to discuss topics ranging from carbon markets to deep-sea ocean mining to Bitcoin. A White House official tells me the president's message to the CEOs will be that the United States is open for business and welcomes foreign investment. Now, we expect the president's remarks to kick off around 5 p.m. this evening. Also appearing at the summit are executives from a wide range of industries, including cryptocurrency supporter Michael Saylor, former Google CEO Eric Schmidt, and Saudi ambassador to the U.S. Rima Bandar Al Saud. Now, the summit is put on by the Future Investment Initiative. It's an organization run by the Saudi Arabian Sovereign Wealth Fund, which is called the Public Investment Fund. And it all comes, as you say, as investors are going to be watching for more details on Trump's newest tariff threat Tuesday, when he said he would impose tariffs on autos and other key industries. Here's what he said.
It'll be in the neighborhood of 25%.
What about semiconductors and pharmaceuticals?
It'll be 25% and higher, and it'll go very substantially higher over a course of a year. But we want to give them time to come in because, as you know, when they come into the United States and they have their plant or factory here, there is no tariff. So we want to give them a little bit of a chance.
But you see the president there signaling the possibility of a delay. He says we want to give them time to come in. So clearly some negotiations are upcoming here. We don't have the full scope of this. And
I think the most important thing is going to be, do we actually get these tariffs to get implemented or not? Because, you know, Trump has been talking about this for a while, but if they don't get implemented, the market's not going to care. The market's acting like they don't care right now, given where the 10-year's at. But if they actually do go into motion, then I think we're going to have to see what impacts that has on the market. Okay, Steve just joined on StreamYard and then he left. I was just about to bring him up. Let me tell him to join again. And then we'll get Steve onto the show. So yeah, again, those 25% tariffs, we're gonna have to see if it actually happens, right? And I think right now we don't know if it's definitely going to happen, even though Trump is saying it's going to happen. SMCI giving back from 60, now up 5%. Hood 59.48, Tesla 363, giving back some of the gains as well. Palantir 122.49. Steve, good morning. How are you? Can you hear me? Dude, why does it? Okay, something's wrong with his mic. I'm just going to text him. Something's messed up. This is weird. That never happens. Let's try it again. Yeah, there's an echo. Yeah, there's something's wrong with your mic. You know, he has enough money to buy a new mic with SMCI. So I don't know why his mic's not working here. Your thoughts on Rocket Lab? I sold puts today, so I don't think it goes to 22. If it does, I'll buy shares. Yeah, no crazy thoughts on Rocket Lab, dude. I think they're a $13 billion company. SpaceX is $350 billion. Are they expensive? Yes. 37 times price of sales is expensive, but will they have the growth to justify being expensive? Yeah, I think so. And I think they're going to be profitable before people think. They're guiding for 3Q, but if they get profitable by first quarter, they're probably not going to be profitable next quarter. I think it's definitely going to show some signs of a maturing company. So not necessarily too bearish on the name. He had to sell his mic after XRP dropped. Yes. It's not me, dude. It's not me. Because there was the same echo when I called him on the phone. So like there's no way there's an echo on StreamYard and my phone. Those are just two different places. So I think it has to be him. Steve is at a downtown payphone. That is correct. Erwin says he has a goal of 10,000 shares of Rocket Lab. Yeah, I mean, look, we got a lot of you whales that got in early. Very early on Rocket Lab. All right, let's look at the Hood premiums. What are we looking at right here? How bad is it? So $59.80, the $55 put for March 21st. It's not juicy enough, man. It's not juicy enough. There's just not enough premium there. I don't want to be too aggressive and sell it yet. I want to see 57, 58, and then I would sell those puts. Like, I don't have a problem selling it here, but I feel like we can get more premium. If Hood's in a downtrend, let's get into a real downtrend and then we'll sell puts versus selling them a bit early. So I guess we'll wait. We'll wait it out. We don't have to be too aggressive here. We can be more patient. See if it comes in a bit lower. Tesla's having the best day outside of Celsius. I mean, in terms of the large caps, Tesla's actually holding on to a bit of its green. 363. It was at 367. And then Celsius up 15% or 14%. 13.68. All right, let's see if Steve is good to go. Steve, you there?
Yep.
Okay, we're good. How are you?
I'd be better if I could get my headset to work.
Oh, so that's why it wasn't working. It was your headset. Okay, well, cool. First of all, how was your week?
Not as good as yours.
Well, you had a stock that went pretty nuclear, and you're doing well on it. So, what are your thoughts here on SMCI at $60?
I mean, I think it's going to go higher.
Are you grateful for the fact that it's at $60?
There we go. And my headset finally kicked in. That's so much better. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy that a lot of people made money on it. I think that it is going to be very interesting to see what happens, considering you have two big events coming up. We know that they need to deliver their 10K by, what is it, Tuesday?
Yeah.
It's the 25th. So they have to deliver the 10K by Tuesday, and then NVIDIA reports on Wednesday. So I think that there could be a lot of room. If you get those two things that fall in place, this thing could be at 70 or 80.
Steve, are you in options or shares on this one?
Both.
Okay, so what is your exit plan? Like, I mean, you're up a double from when you got in at 30. So
I don't really have an exit plan, to be honest with you. Like, I'm holding. As long as I don't lose money, it's all good. And I think that there's a lot of firepower on this, so I'm not taking profits. I am holding the line, and my plan is to sell my options on Thursday of next week after NVIDIA reports, no matter what happens, because my naked options expire on Friday. And I did it on purpose because of the outlay of events. So I'm holding the line regardless.
What's the strike on the naked options?
35.
Oh, wow. So those are deep in the money. You're good on those.
Yeah.
Oh, those are good.
Yeah. And then the spreads are 32.50. So now and those are March 28th or 22nd, somewhere like that. So now it's just, they're deep in the money also, and it's went past my sell price. So I just hold them, let the theta decay creep in, and they just gradually increase in value.
So has this been your best trade of 2025, right?
Well, the year is 6 weeks in, so yes.
I know. I'm just saying, like, it's it's been a good trade for you. You've done well.
Yeah, and look, it really shows you how much more amplified a portfolio can be with options. Now, they are much riskier because you do not own the underlying asset. But I was talking with Chris and Matt and Ken, and I had said to them, I said, when I look at the shares, and I don't remember when I was exactly looking at it, but the shares were up, I think something like 44% or 42% or something like that. Is I bought them around, I think my average price is like 32 something. So they were up like 44% when I was looking at them. But the naked options, I think, were up 315% or so in the same time frame.
That is true. They can definitely magnify the returns. So
nobody listened to me on Intel, by the way.
Oh, we got to talk about that. Yeah, so that was going to be actually my next stock. Yeah, what the hell is happening here? And do you think this thing goes to 30?
I was thinking about selling, but I've been in meetings all morning. Like I legitimately have 20 minutes or now 16 minutes before my next meeting. But I don't know. I was thinking about getting out because I'm up and I don't know what can happen. I also think that Intel could get bought out at 40, but I've been one of the odd ones that thinks Intel is more valuable than its current market cap. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to me because it's all speculation that's driving it up, but nonetheless, if they get acquired, then that could still be good.
But I mean, look at their revenue. They do 56 billion in revenue. They're very important to the country. They're very important to the pipeline. I mean, there's so many rumors from them and AMD merging to the company being split apart where Broadcom picks up the chips and then Taiwan Semi picks up the foundries to then Qualcomm trying to acquire the whole company. I mean, there's so many rumors that are going on that who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But
so okay. So I want to ask you about this, and here's the question: Are we in a frothy market right now, Steve?
Yes.
Why? Why are we frothy?
So we're frothy on the bottom end, not on the top end. And what I mean by that is the biggest companies in the market are probably still undervalued, but there's a lot of companies that are grossly overvalued. And I mean grossly overvalued.
So piggybacking off that, isn't that the rotation we've been waiting for, which is Max 7 takes a break and other companies get some love?
Not like this, though. I mean, this is getting to the point where a lot of things don't make sense when you look at some of these valuations. And I get it where people say you don't understand growth. Well, no, I do. And I understand business. And we're getting to a point where people are paying a ridiculous price because of straight greed at this point, or because they think the party's never.
Right.
I mean,
you're back.
there's gonna be an end to some of this. The question is when. I mean, companies just don't go up, and some of the valuations are crazy. So we'll see. I think that there's a lot of opportunities. I mean, you look at what Arista Networks came out with. They're not a terribly exciting company because they're back-end infrastructure, but great earnings report, shows a lot of demand for networking. And then you look at CapEx, I'm telling you, and I've been saying it for years. I've been saying it since Cisco was around 40, that this thing's going to move higher. And it keeps going up because it's drastically undervalued. There's some value plays out there, but I get worried with a lot of stuff. I mean, look, your favorite companies, a lot of them are really in nosebleed territory right now. But I will say, I'm going to say what I said in the group text. As much as I want to hate Palantir's valuation, and I do hate the valuation, you listen to Karp's interview and you got a lovely guy. So it's like, what do you do? Who knows?
So let's talk about Palantir. What do you say, frothiness is spreading and rotating. Is this sustainable at almost 200 billion?
No, it shouldn't be, but maybe it is. But really think about it. And just for the record, I am one of the original Palantir bulls. You, me, a couple other people can legitimately say that we've been in this since day one, and we've been very public about it since day one. I understood the company, I understood the growth prospects, and I understand their future growth prospects. But at some point, a great company can be overvalued. This is a company that's trading at over 100 times sales. And I hate the price to sales metric, but that, just think about how ridiculous that is. And even if Palantir was to grow their free cash flow from 1.5 billion to $6 billion, okay? Even if they did 3 or 4 times in the next 5 to 10 years on it, which they very well may, they may exceed that. They're still only doing $6 billion in free cash flow, and they're being valued today for all that growth as companies that are doing way more than that and are valued less just because of a narrative. Narrative doesn't necessarily generate revenue and profit. So I think it's overvalued. I think it's an amazing company, and I think it's just overvalued when you look at the metrics of some of these other companies.
So trading at 100 times sales obviously is aggressive. What do you think is the catalyst? Because you're saying it's not going to happen forever. What stops it from happening?
You need more sellers than buyers, and I just don't know when that happens because there's a lot of publicity around it. And if they keep getting a lot of government contracts and the government side speeds up and commercial side doesn't necessarily slow down, look, I could see this going to 150 and getting even more ridiculous.
Well, I think it's trading on the government Doge stuff. I really do.
It could be.
I mean, Steve, you saw the politicians that are buying. Like, when have politicians ever bought Palantir? Right?
I mean,
like
to me, I don't care what politicians buy and don't buy. I would rather do my own research, and I get worried about the valuation it's at because I worry that people are going to lose money on this because of how crazy it's gotten.
So I'm not disagreeing with you on valuation. I'm just saying part of research is looking at who's buying. And I mean, the politicians never heard of Palantir 4 years ago, and now they're buying it hand over fist. Like, to me, that's something is going on where they know, I think, about the government's new operating system that theoretically could be powered by Palantir.
Okay, and let's go down that road. Let's say Palantir does get a massive government contract. Let's say, hypothetically, it doubles their revenue. Okay, and let's say they keep the same margins. They're going to do $3 billion or just under $2.8 billion in free cash flow on that metric, and their net income would probably be around $1.2 billion or so, depending on what interest rates do.
Yeah.
Okay. Once again, the companies that Palantir gets compared to all the time are Oracle and Salesforce. Look at Salesforce. Palantir is almost as valuable as Salesforce right now.
No, it's amazing, right?
And Salesforce is doing $11.5 billion in free cash flow. Salesforce is doing $38 billion or so in revenue, and they're still growing the top line at 11% or so. You look at a boring company like Cisco. Cisco's market cap's like 250, 260 billion, and their free cash flow is 11 billion. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know either,
but may never trade at a realistic valuation, and that's okay also. Who knows?
Well, that's my thing, dude. I think it's like, look, Palantir is worth 280 billion. At this point, what's the difference between 280 and 300?
20 billion?
No, but realistically, there's no difference, right?
So
it's like,
no matter what company, and this is where I get worried. No matter what company it's been, Meta, Amazon, Tesla, Nvidia, they've all had drawbacks. Something's always gone wrong and they've recovered. You've had massive drawdowns. It hasn't happened with Palantir. To think that this is going to be the one company that never goes through a price reduction significantly, because 2021 doesn't count, because you had a lot of macroeconomic geopolitical tensions, you had inflation, you had supply chain, you had a perfect storm come in 2021. So we can't necessarily say that 2021 counts per se, because Apple got cut in half. They were the last one to fall. Great companies go through hard times, and people take profits also. To think that Palantir is going to continue to go up in this fashion is difficult for me to wrap my brain around.
I just wonder when that happens.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. If it has to happen,
But we got some earnings this week to look out for, so see what happens.
Yeah.
Alibaba and XYZ now.
We have Grab today after the bell. I don't know if you've seen a little bit of excitement.
I'm not even looking. I'm not into it. I'm looking at Block. I'm looking at Baba, and I'm waiting for NVIDIA next week. And I want to see what happens with Intel. I hope Grab goes up for all you guys. I'm just not in it.
Yeah, and you're still in Baba. You've been in Baba for a while, right?
Yeah, I'm looking for an exit plan at this point.
I mean, dude, it's up 50% year to date, so it's like, it's had a move. It's had a nice move.
I know. I'm actually up on it now instead of being down.
Yeah.
But I think it can go higher, but I'm not going to get greedy on this. I think if it goes to 140 or 150-ish, I'm out, and I'll just redeploy that capital somewhere. But Baba is look, that's a great company. I want to get out of overseas stuff. Like I'm actually VEA. Like I had a pretty diversified ETF portfolio. VEA is the Vanguard European index, and I'm probably going to get out of that. I don't want to be overseas anymore. Like I have a world index fund I'm going to get out of. I'm just going to put it all down in the U.S. Like it's less and less reason. I have an emerging markets fund I'm going to get out of. There's less and less reason for me to look overseas at this point.
Meta below 700. You think that's concerning at all, or it is what it is?
I mean, I'm the wrong person to ask if that's concerning.
Okay.
I mean, look, my cost basis is under 100, so it's hard for me to cry about Meta going under 700.
Do you still think Tesla's not a buy here at 360?
No, it's not a buy. Absolutely not a buy. Because Elon's selling everybody hopes and dreams at this point.
You know, so I got to visit a humanoid robot company last week, and my philosophy on Tesla has changed. My philosophy is have a set number of shares you want to buy every month. Don't give a shit what the price is, and buy those set number of shares. And the reason for that is because I really do think that the reason you invested, which were for the humanoid robots, is coming sooner than later. And if a startup is able to scale the way that Figure's scaling, I can't imagine what Tesla's going to do.
I agree with you 100%. So let me rephrase it. If you do not care about short-term fluctuations and you do not care about what the price is today because you're going to average out over the next 2-3 years, then buy a set amount of shares every month, because in 5 to 10 years from now, Tesla could probably be the highest valued company in the market. So I agree with you on that aspect. But if you're just talking about today, I think you're going to get a big drawdown in the price.
Like how big? Like 250? Like what are we?
Yeah, I think it goes under 250.
Wow.
Unless something changes. I mean, let's be honest about this. Elon's not really running Tesla at the moment. He is checking in, letting the phenomenal team that they have do everything. He's given the direction. He's taking the next 3 or 4 months and he's going all in on Doge for the good of the country. So he says. He's been open about that. I think that there's a lot of people that are not happy about that. And when you look at the actual numbers, their vehicle business is not freaking growing. Like their profitability is down. And FSD, as much as everybody wants to talk about it, the taxi market is only expected to go to 450 billion over the next couple of years. Like this is not going to generate $1 trillion in revenue. The business is the bot. And I just don't know at what point you're going to get the tremendous revenue from the bot. But that is the business of all businesses. Because when you really look at the amount of packages that are moved every day and every year, and the amount of applications for the bot, from healthcare to just things to do in somebody's home, it's incredible. And I do think that every house, every home will have a bot at some point. Maybe 20 years off, but it will get there.
But you think it has to go down 40% before that happens?
I don't think it has to, but I think it will. And look, if they don't come out with some strong numbers the next 2 quarters and Elon is all over the news and doing all the Doge stuff, I think the market's going to question his loyalty to Tesla. And I think that could be a drawdown for it.
Yeah, but hasn't the market always questioned his loyalty to his commitments, and eventually he ends up executing, right?
Yeah, he ends up executing. But once again, the company is not really that profitable compared to every other company that is valued at the same market cap. I mean, just go by the numbers.
Would you buy Apple at 240 or Tesla at 360?
For what time duration?
Next year, for end of 2025?
Apple.
In 5 years, I imagine it would be Tesla.
It would be Tesla.
Oh. All right.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
fair.
listen, it's a great company that's going to do great things. I just think it's got a rocky road for the short term. That's all. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Someone says Tesla is everything besides a car company. Good luck on missing out on the biggest American company in the next 5 years.
Do these people not realize I'm a shareholder? Like, it's the same people that say, like, I'm not bullish on Palantir. Like, I have a physical share of Palantir hanging on my office wall. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
I can be a shareholder and disagree with where it's currently valued. Like, yes, Palantir and Tesla are going to be incredible in the future, but they can also be overvalued today.
Look, I feel you. I just, after I visited that factory, Steve, I cannot tell you how
I agree with you.
They were doing real things, these bots.
Right. And and think about this, when I was telling you this about the only reason why I'm investing in it. I don't care about anything else because I think that this has been my thesis on Tesla. I'm with you.
I guess we're gonna see eventually when this really scales.
Huh?
All right, cool stuff, Steve. I'm back in Jersey, so yeah, thanks for being on the show, and I guess we'll talk more throughout the rest of the week.
Yeah, well, give me a call later, and we'll figure out when you're going to come into the city to get some steaks.
Yes, I won't have to sleep for 10 hours today. That was only yesterday. So
okay, talk to you later.
Talk later.
Right.
Steve is not out of Palantir. He just has some covered calls that are deeply underwater, and he's still very, very bullish on the company. Again, it's like, look, I can't blame him on the valuation thing. I get it. Palantir almost touching 300 billion. I think we've been saying it over and over for the past couple of months now. It's not about the numbers anymore. It's about the momentum and the narrative. And kind of the same thing for Tesla. And you either believe in that momentum narrative or you don't. And the other good thing is so many of you guys bought this thing when it was below 20 bucks that if it falls another 30, 40% from here, which I don't think is going to happen, but if it does, it's kind of not that scary because you're still going to be so in the green. A lot of people, the same story on NVIDIA, dude. A lot of people have averages of below 30 on NVIDIA. So when NVIDIA fell 20% 2 weeks ago, they're just like, all right, I mean, Jose's getting Jose's averages in the teens on NVIDIA. And even he bought the dip at 120 because of how dumb of a dip that he thought it was. So it's one of those things where, ironically, retail's not selling even with a dip. Retail probably buys, and the institutions have to buy more expensive until they get that dip, if they get that dip, because retail is not selling either. David, thank you for the $10 super chat. Admit, I'm so glad I found you in the group. I'm up 36% year to date because of you and this community. Much thanks to you and everyone. Thank you, David, for being here. And everyone, let's use this as an opportunity to put your year to date in the chat. We haven't done this in like a week. Put your year to date in the chat. We had a bunch of things happen over the past couple weeks. My year to date at the end of January was 18%. As of now, it's 31.65%. So still very early in the year. But thank you, David, for being here. Thank you for the super chat, and shout out to this amazing community that's helping everyone get some gains. Speaking of gains, I want to share this with you guys real quick as well. Let me just pull this up real quick. The person who got me the Palantir bell, which is the Palantir, the engraved cowbell, I want to share something real quick from them. So this person, who is an awesome person, they have a couple of side businesses. I'm not sponsored by them. They didn't pay me. They didn't ask me to do this. I just wanted to show it to you guys because as a community, the cool thing is we get to help each other. So he gave me this gift at the California meetup, and I want to show you it. So first of all, he gave me this. It's called Groove. This is his small business brand. I finally have something where I can charge my phone more easily. So hopefully my phone is constantly charged now because we got something that's going to be charging my phone. So shout out to him getting me that. I didn't get to tell Steve. He actually got Steve some headphones for him, and he got this for me and Steve, but I forgot to tell Steve. So I gotta eventually deliver it to Steve, but he has these awesome headphones as well. So shout out to him. I'm putting his Amazon group or his Amazon storefront in the chat. Again, I'm not sponsored, nothing like that. I just would love to share small businesses that are hustling and that are grinding. And he's also heavy Tesla and Palantir. So there is his small business right here. Let me pull it up right here. It's called Groove Electronics. Groove Electronics. So for those that want to check it out, I'll put the link in the chat. You guys can check that out. And then he has another thing that he started, which is Groovy Paws, which is eco-friendly pet products for dogs and for pets. So if you are interested, I'll put both links right here in the chat. If you're interested in checking that out, I think there's a certain portion that's donated from these products. If anyone has a dog, anyone has a pet, it's like a friendly way to clean up their poop. I haven't had a pet ever, so I've never had this experience. But for those that do have this, you guys can check it out. So I'm putting that link right here in the chat, and you guys can check it out. Again, I'm not getting paid for this or anything. I really want to support different businesses that we have in the community. And then his electronics store right there, Groove Electronics. You guys can check that out as well. Especially if you're like me and you need something to charge your damn phone. Like, I really think I have no excuse for my phone not to be charged now. Like, all I have to do is this. There we go. So, not a bad situation. All right, how much are you guys up year to date? We have 27%. We have 18%. We have 14%. We have Brandon's up 40% year to date. We got Dallas up 50%. Jay Lesla up 157%. Jav is up 90% because of SMCI. Shavam's up 10%. Niles up 63%. Gene's up 18%. Anthony's up 113%. Wow. So these are much different from the year-to-date percentage returns that we had in January, which was averaging kind of 10 to 15%, I would say. This is looking like it's averaging around 30 to 80% roundabout. Yeah, this is a decent amount. This is a decent amount. And again, guys, those links, I'm putting it right here in the chat. Groove Electronics, that's the first one. And then this is his Amazon store page for Groovy Paws, which is his eco-friendly business, if you guys want to check that out as well. So there they are right there in the chat. 37%. East End is up 59%. Oliver's up 81%. Mark's up 44%. Samir's up 198%. All right, so where are these gains coming from? Where are these gains coming from? Put in the chat. What is actually contributing to that? NVIDIA right here, 140. Big Bear AI also pumping a little bit. No, it's not pumping. When did Big Bear AI tank? This thing was at like $12 last week, right? Or $10? All right, so that one's down. A little bit of froth getting taken out of Big Bear AI, 798. Grab right here, 517. Salesforce down 1%. Tesla barely holding on to 360. Palantir trying to get back to 125. And then NVIDIA going green again at 140. It's because everyone is in HIMS. Well, HIMS is definitely helping for those that are in it. Palantir, Rocket, yeah, how could I forget Palantir? Of course, Palantir is probably, I mean, yeah, because the Palantir earnings was February 3rd, right? So everyone's giving their year-to-date after Palantir earnings, which definitely makes a pretty big impact. Palantir right here, 124.38. Robinhood, Dutch Bros, Amazon, that's helping. CrowdStrike is helping. Hood calls, SMCI calls. See, you know, a month and a half into the year, I mean, people are up. People are up. I mean, dude, to be up almost, I think I see what I'm seeing on average is 30 to 50%, which 6 weeks into the year is not bad. 46.45, 17%. I mean, it's a pretty good amount year to date. Pretty freaking good amount year to date. Thoughts on Berkshire selling the S&P? Yeah, so we didn't talk about this. Berkshire Hathaway, they sold the S&P 500 completely. They sold the VOO and the S&P, so they're completely out of the S&P. Oh, new iPhone. Here we go. New member of the family. Here we go. We got it. Apple released their new iPhone 16e starting at $599. I guess this was the new member in the family. Okay, this is kind of a nothing burger, but there you go. Someone says, I would say, keep in mind these returns are normal. Yeah, I mean, look, I agree. These returns, obviously, 6 weeks into the year being up 30, 40% is probably not normal. A lot of that is achieved with leverage. The thing is, if Palantir, Hood, Robinhood, Rocket Lab, et cetera, if they can maintain their gains, then, you know, they could sustain themselves towards the end of the year and these gains could be normalized. But they're going to have to hold up, you know, and if they don't hold up, that's when we're going to have more of a correction on a lot of these percentage returns year to date. Berkshire Hathaway, again, taking the opportunity to get liquid. So Berkshire sold a decent chunk of their holdings. Let me pull it up right here. But they're completely out of the S&P. And it's kind of weird, right? Because so here's what Berkshire did. They sold 15% of their Bank of America. So that one's down. They sold 18% of Capital One. They sold 29% of Charter, 53% of Nubank. So they sold half their Nubank. They didn't touch their Apple. So they left their 300 million shares of Apple untouched. They sold 50% of that last year. And then the S&P 500, they sold all their S&P 500. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. Buffett's kind of, I guess, betting on individual stocks versus the market. He is sitting on $325 billion of cash. So you would imagine you probably shouldn't be in the market if you, or you shouldn't be in the S&P if you have that much cash. But yeah, he's, I guess, picking little individual names to make his argument here. Apple has been such a bore lately. Yeah. So here's the official update on their newest iPhone. So iPhone 16e, affordable option with an A18 chip, $599, powered by the A18 chip and Apple's first in-house modem, the C1. It delivers fast 5G connectivity. Pre-orders begin February 21st. I mean, look, they're going to sell some of these phones. I just don't know if people care anymore about this stuff. I don't know if people care that much anymore about these updates. I really thought they were going to introduce something new. When they said a new member of the family, I was like, okay, so we got a new product, new Vision Pro, something like that. Palantir getting really close to 125. But no, it's a new iPhone. It's a brand new iPhone. When is Trump speaking? I think Trump spoke already. I think he spoke in a closed meeting today with some journalists, and that's why we got those quotes about tariffs, if I'm not wrong. Let's get a couple updates on what's going on the street. I think CNBC is talking about HIMSS right here, but I'll try to see some other stuff around what Trump said.
All right, so Courtney, Howard Hughes shares are sliding right now after Pershing Square's Bill Ackman raised his takeover bid for the real estate developer. Ackman said his firm has submitted a new proposal to acquire 10 million newly issued Howard Hughes shares at $90 a piece. That would give Pershing a 48% stake. That transaction would not require regulatory approvals, a shareholder vote, or financing, so it could be completed in a handful of weeks. Ackman has said that he wants to turn Howard Hughes into a diversified holding company in the style of a modern-day Berkshire Hathaway, so Howard Hughes down 6.5%. Garmin's moving higher after a top and bottom line beat on its earnings report. The company also proposing to raise its dividend. The fitness segment, where Garmin gets about 30% of its revenue, was the real driver here. Sales for wearables and other devices increased by 31%. Forward guidance on revenue and earnings also beat expectations, so those shares up 12%. And Hims & Hers shares surging after it announced it acquired at-home lab testing facility Tribe Labs. The deal will allow the telehealth company to offer at-home blood draws and more comprehensive whole-body testing facilities. Terms were not disclosed, but Hims said that it funded it through cash on hand. Shares have been on a massive surge, up about 575% or so, amid increasing demand for some of its weight loss drugs. So with Hims & Hers up 16%, that massive move coming in just the last few weeks or so, guys. Back over to you guys. It's a big move, Carl.
Dominic Chu, thanks, Dom. Talk soon. Money Movers begins after this. Don't go away.
All right, those are the updates across the street in the context of what we got. Wow, Palantir. Oh boy, are we about to go green? Are we about to go green? I think there's a shot. Let me check the wall at 125 if we are coming back there. 125 resistance is, damn, it's a lot. 173,000. I don't know. Yeah, we just got rejected, even at 124.70. Palantir year to date up 63%, dude. I feel so greedy every time I'm asking for another dollar, but like, dude, we're so close, but it's like, I'm definitely being greedy here. But there's a shot. It's a shot. We just keep going. Where's Grab? Grab's at 517. So Grab kind of looks like Grab's going to be down until we get earnings, and then we'll see how the stock reacts. I don't know, dude. I'm really interested to see how Grab reacts on earnings because, I mean, like, they're not a big earnings mover. Last earnings, they were profitable, which is why they were up like 30%, but usually they don't move that much on earnings. So this is one of those quarters where if they can crush it, like really crush it, it can get fun. Like last time they went from 360 to 570, which is why the fact that we're at 515 to me is kind of a joke. Like last earnings were so good that they gapped up from 360 to 570, and then they just naturally got sold off as the kind of market sold off. But it's not like these are uncharted territories for Grab to be at in this mid $5 range. Now, if we break $6, then we're in a whole new world. But they're gonna have to have some good earnings to get there. Break out the Palantir bell at 125. No, we already hit 125 yesterday. We have to wait till 130 now. We can't misuse that bell. That bell is a very special bell. That bell. And again, the same guy who gave me the bell is the same guy whose small business I was showing, Groove Electronics. Again, I'll put it right here in the chat for those that missed it. But it's super cool, dude. He didn't have to do that. He did not have to do that. But it was very, very nice. Because that bell now is going to be part of our entire journey, right? Like every time we get that $5 increment, Just gonna ring the bell every single time. Hopefully we get to ring the bell like every other week or something. No, that's gonna drive Steve crazy. I gotta show. I wonder if Steve's seen the bell yet. See, dude. See, look. I just got a text message. Okay, I just got a text message. This is why getting obsessed with stocks is crazy. Someone just texted. Regulations are shifting, but there's still time. Grab up to 500,000 in small business loans for working capital before they change. Reply 90 for more info. This is a junk text, but I thought it was some DD on Grab. And so I'm just like this is, you can't make this up, bro. Like you see Grab and you're just like, what's going on here? What is going on? We need to have good earnings, bro. We need to have good earnings. We need a good earnings. Everywhere I look, you see more Grab. Do you guys get those junk texts? I don't know how they get my number, bro. I feel like I signed up to something a long time ago and it's like instead of junk emails now, it ends up being a text. It's a sign. Yes, it's a sign. It's a sign. Hopefully it's a good sign for Grab. Him still at 69. Netflix. Where's Netflix? Netflix was at 1,000 last week. It closed over 1,000. Are we still there? Netflix. Yeah, we're still holding 1,000. Costco as well, still holding 1,000 as well, I think. Yeah, Costco 1,059. Netflix 1,038. Holding on to it. Amit, can you come grab the groceries? Amit's mom. Wait, you know about Grab? Yes, exactly. That's what happened last week. Dude, my parents have Grab. I bought a ton of options for my sister. Dude, it was so funny yesterday. My sister, she came up to me. She was like, she's like, okay, I finally want to learn about options. And I was like, why? And like, because I loaded up a ton of Grab options for her. I loaded up a ton of hood options for her. So she's had a really good past couple weeks. And she's like, I want to understand what you're doing. And so I start talking, right? Like I just start getting into what it means to like own an option. And she was like, all right, I'm getting bored. And I was like, okay, so like, don't even like, why, just don't like, just look at the green numbers and be happy at this point. And she went back to her Netflix show. She's one of those that loves Love is Blind or whatever. I think that's the dumbest show ever to be like what, in what world do people get married without not looking at each other? What type of nonsense have we come to as a human species where that's entertainment? And that's got to be the most insane. She loves that show. They have a new season out. And I was like, she's up like 50 grand this week. And instead of wanting to know about how she's up 50 grand, she cares about Love is Blind. You can't change people, dude. Sometimes you just can't change people. It is what it is. For 2 minutes, she wanted to learn about options. And then she, decides she doesn't care. Don't knock Love is Blind. Dude, you got to admit, that has got to be the dumbest show. Well, actually, no, I'll take that back. It's the smartest show concept, but it's like the dumbest idea ever. Who in the hell gets married to someone without knowing what they look like? Like I tried watching it a couple of years ago and I was like, this is dumb, bro. Like they're like, there's a door in between them and they're like trying to talk and figure out what they sound. I'm like, what is this, bro? It's actually a great show. So shout out to Netflix. It's a smart idea. It's just like the fact that people do it. I don't know, dude. It's weird. There's a good comment. This is true. Your whole culture. That's a great comment. That's a good one. That's true. The entire Indian culture is Love is Blind, right? That is fair. That is fair. Now, granted, arranged marriages don't happen, at least in America, as much for Indians. I mean, back in India, but even my Indian friends that are in India, like my Indian cousins, they don't think they're going to get an arranged marriage. But obviously, in the past, in like the 90s, it was a lot more prevalent. But yeah, that's true. I guess that's fair. Indian marriages are basically, but you at least look at each other, like my mom and my dad met before they agreed to get married, even if it was arranged. The whole concept of it being blind is so weird. I mean, would you be open to an arranged marriage? No, I do not. That's just, I don't know, dude. Most arranged marriages that I've seen in India have not gone well. I mean, but Indians don't believe in divorce either. It's like, it's not even religiously. It's just a cultural thing. Like you don't get divorced. So it's like, if it's not a good match, you just like weather the storm for 40 years. And like, I don't like that either. So I don't think I would ever get an arranged marriage. But also, there's just like not a lot of Indians end up getting divorces. Robinhood right here, 60.33. So that made a recovery from about 59.30 to 60.30. So back above 60. I think 50 is going to be good support for Hood. But if 60 can turn into good support for Hood, that would be amazing. SoFi right here down about 2%. Bumble still down 27%. Celsius holding on up 12%. Netflix 1,000. And then Palantir, it's green. It tried to hit 125. We were at 124.85. It looks like it wants to get there, but getting rejected at a lot of those levels. Christopher, thank you for becoming a channel member. Appreciate it. Thank you for being here and becoming a channel member as well. Prenups are illegal in India. Really? Is that true? Are prenups illegal in India? Oh shit, that's true. Wow. There's like there is no specific legislation that judicially governs a prenup in India. This is what I mean, bro. People don't get divorced in India. They just don't do that. So I guess that's why people don't care about prenups. Trump plans to take the stage in Miami Beach at 5 p.m. The event's host, Saudi Arabia Sovereign Wealth Fund. Saylor goes on at 2 p.m. Huh. Saylor and Trump are talking today at a conference. Interesting. Okay. So the Saudis are hosting an event, and Trump and Saylor are going to be talking at the event. Interesting. Well, we know what Saylor is going to talk about, obviously, with Bitcoin. I guess we will see what Trump talks about as well. Trump's probably going to mention the Sovereign Wealth Fund and bring that in to discussion as well. Palantir 124.46. What's the implied move on Grab today? Let me check. I think it's like I think it's like about 7%, if I'm not wrong. I'll get the exact number, but no, it's 11.6. 11.6. Okay. Let's call it 10%. So either this thing goes closer to 6 or it goes back to like 480 is what we're looking for. Thoughts on Grab's partnership with BYD? I like it. It's good. Grab is partnering with BYD, and primarily their fleet of vehicles, I think, is super important because the vehicle fleet, which is one of those things that, again, you need the supply side for Grab to be profitable, right? You need actual people coming into Grab in the first place and like willing to drive in order to make costs go down. BYD adding 50,000 electric vehicles to add to that fleet is a good thing. And so now, granted, I don't know if that partnership makes a big difference on today's earnings. They also acquired a company in Cambodia. I don't know if that makes a difference in this earnings. I just like how dominant they're becoming and spreading their wings in so many different sectors. And that's the reason I like them in terms of this kind of ripple effect that they're having throughout the region, which, hopefully can continue in the long term. And hopefully they guide for that in 2025. Okay, I want to pull this up right here. So we have Julian Emmanuel, who was on CNBC yesterday. This guy, again, was super bearish in 2023. And by 2024, he made the pivot. And obviously, it was the right pivot. He's saying about where tech is going and why the markets are still green, even though tech is red. And let's get his perspective from this.
The economic front, between the weaker than expected retail sales and the stronger than expected inflation, which, of course, as we know, throughout this almost 2.5-year-old bull market, the market has focused intently on the inflation narratives and the back and forth there. It is surprising that we are breaking out to new highs here, but it really speaks to the resilience of the bull market in general and this idea that if you're a long-term investor, right, this is one of these times where you should just sort of put your portfolio aside and take heart to the fact that bull markets don't end in specifically overvaluation alone, and that earnings season has proven to have been good and sets the table very positively for 2025.
Well, we talked about the fact that Meta has just ended its record winning streak here to finish the day slightly lower. But it does perhaps speak to the role that big tech, mega cap tech, has been playing more recently in this market, as it's not just the S&P 500, but the NASDAQ 100 has played a mighty game of catch up and is also trading at record highs.
Right. And then actually, if you look at today's tape, the equal weighted S&P 500 did very, very well. Look, if something goes up 20 days in a row, you'd be foolish not to expect there to be a pullback at some point. But when you look at it, though, the momentum from point to point in this market in general, and you know, going back to sort of the election where some of those election type stocks really ran for days and days and days, that's been a hallmark of this bull market, and basically trying to short things before their time has been a very difficult and painful game to play.
Yeah, it looks like it's been painful for some folks. Well, Julian, let's zoom out and look at the macro again for a moment, particularly when it comes.
Real quick, guys, we'll go back to that, but we got some breaking news. Microsoft just unveiled a quantum chip. Huh. All right, let me check the quantum names. Let's see if they're moving on this at all. First of all, is Microsoft moving? Microsoft is green. Just went to green. Quantum names are either red or green based on if the market thinks it's good or bad for them. They are all green. Market likes it. Rigetti, IONQ, D-Wave, and Qubit, they're all green. So Microsoft has announced its first quantum computing chip, the Majorana 1, designed to advance scalable quantum systems. The chip harnesses 8 qubits and is built using a novel approach that aims to minimize errors. Microsoft believes this technology could eventually scale to 1 million qubits, unlocking solutions beyond classical computing. The breakthrough was detailed in Nature, and executives say practical applications could be realized in years, not decades. Wow. I mean, that's bullish, right? That's not bad. So there you go. Microsoft coming out with the quantum chips. GTC for NVIDIA is coming out really soon. And Jensen's going to be speaking to all the quantum executives at that conference as well. Who knows? Maybe quantum. We know Google with Willow a couple of weeks ago. So maybe this is going to be the next evolution of growth as well in the context of quantum. Saying it could be years versus decades is definitely encouraging for the broader quantum ecosystem.
Comes to inflation. Is it plausible at this point to believe that cheaper energy prices are going to wipe out inflation, as President Trump argued during the campaign? Or is it more plausible that tariffs are going to keep inflation sticky or even make it worse?
Well, cheaper energy prices by themselves are not likely to wipe out inflation. And in fact, what you're seeing now is that foodstuffs, coffee, cocoa, eggs, cattle prices are really surging, whereas energy itself has remained, very muted. But what we would say there is the potential for energy prices to remain muted or perhaps even drift lower if you get a geopolitical outcome that's viewed as favorable by the markets. It changes the psychology on behalf of investors and consumers, because energy is the most important psychological input to inflation. So it may not drag us materially closer to that 2% core PCE, but it certainly will put us headed back towards that direction, which we think is an eventuality.
Okay, no rescue from energy, but maybe no doom either. So now to the AI market, which has been a big part of what's driven many of the mega caps, certainly NVIDIA now. What do you think is holding that story up as we look ahead to NVIDIA earnings next week? I mean, the mega caps have kind of been passing the baton between them, even though there's been some broadening. It's not like those big guys have given up the ghost.
Well, but again, the bigger picture is every single day there's a new headline with regard to a new AI startup. And in the final analysis is if you think about the internet revolution, two things went on. As it became clear that it became more important in terms of people's everyday lives, you had this sort of multiplier effect to the use of it, to the business applications. And we're in the stage now where corporate America knows that they have to engage in AI because it is part of people's everyday life. And the DeepSeek news tells you that the demand is going to rise and that things are going to happen at an all-in cheaper price. And that is very bullish for the future.
I mean, I generally agree with that. I think that's also very bullish for NVIDIA, and that's probably not slowing down anytime soon. All the quantum names you guys can see right here, D-Wave's up 5%, IONQ's up 3%, Rigetti's up 6%, QUBT's up 9%. Microsoft is flat. It was green. Now it's basically flat. Something needs to change with Microsoft, dude. Their stock is barely green over the past year. Really did not participate in 2024 at all in the bull run. So I don't know. Maybe there needs to be a little bit something outside of Copilot that gets the street excited. By the way, Trump just called Zelensky a dictator. So he just tweeted, Zelensky is a dictator without elections. He better move fast or he is not going to have a country left. In the meantime, we are successfully negotiating an end to the war with Russia, something that only I can do. Biden never tried. Europe has failed to bring peace, and Zelensky probably wants to keep the gravy train going. I love Ukraine, but Zelensky has done a terrible job. His country is shattered, and millions have unnecessarily died. So that's what Trump just said about Zelensky. I guess we'll find out in the coming months if there is any peace treaty signed when it comes to the Ukraine-Russia war, but it definitely looks like Trump is positioning Zelensky more so as someone who's just taking money from the States and trying to work on some agreement with Russia. Yeah, he tweeted that like literally 5 minutes ago. Yeah, basically 5 minutes ago that came out. So that is making headlines across the business wire right now. Matans, thank you for the super chat. Amit, do you know about machine-to-machine crypto transactions? I do not. I have no idea. I would imagine maybe something has to do with quantum when it comes to M2M crypto transactions, but in general, I've never heard of that concept before. Is Bitcoin down on the quantum news? Could that be bad for Bitcoin? A little bit of a red candle. It's still green for the day. Last time Willow came out, Bitcoin tanked like 5%. I still think the idea that quantum is going to decrypt cryptography is a little out there, but nonetheless, there are people that believe in that as a concept. Amit only knows about M2M, mail to mail. Dude, you guys are funny. You guys are funny. For everyone asking, should you buy Grab? Look, I bought Grab at 5.15. So, like, again, I'm going to keep saying what I'm saying. If you believe in the long-term thesis on Grab, then yeah, I like $5. I think that's a pretty reasonable price to pay. If you're going to be pissed off if Grab goes to 470 and you're buying it today at 5.15, don't buy it. You know, like I wouldn't really be that pissed off. I would buy more. But that's because I've really done the due diligence and I feel very confident. I know now retail's into it, but I've been confident for the past 2 months on this name and I made the investment before retail got excited. Same thing with Hood. If Hood goes back to 45, dude, I am not going to be upset. Like genuinely, I will be very excited to buy more Hood. So on Grab, if you're going to buy it at these levels after the 10% move yesterday, you just got to ask yourself, would you actually be okay with it falling back to 470, 450? Which, look, I don't think they're going to because I think they're going to have good earnings, but I could be wrong. And so, yeah, if that's the case, then yeah. Now, look, if Grab was 650 right now, I wouldn't say buy it because that's too big of a move. But at 515, about 8% move year to date, I don't think that's crazy. Especially after an earnings that hopefully could be good. Would you buy Cheesecake into earnings? You know, I don't know enough about Cheesecake's financials. They've had a good year, though. They're up 10%. So, and they got a nice 2% divvy there. So I'm curious to see. I haven't ate a cheesecake all year. So I do love the brand, love the company. I'm sure they're growing well, but today we'll find out how well they're growing. Palantir, again, trying to make a run for 125. It really looks like it wants it. Let me check resistance again. It's 8 cents away. 3 cents away now. Let's see. There's 170,000 shares still waiting. 177,000. 2 cents away. 2 cents away. Let's see if we can get it. Let's see. Where were you yesterday? I was looking for you on market close like crazy person, opening and closing YouTube. I'm sorry, Lena. I told you guys in the morning I wouldn't be able to make it. I was sleeping. But I'm never going to sleep again through a market close, dude. It just felt weird being asleep when the market was still operating. And then I woke up and, dude, the amount of messages and missed calls and Robinhood notifications is like I felt like I had woke up after 5 years, bro. I was like, what had happened? And so, yeah, I'm not a nap type of person, but yesterday I just had to take a nap. You guys are seeing 400,000 share resistance. I'm seeing 175. Mine's might not be as accurate, so it might be a lot more than 175 to get there. Next time, just live stream your sleep. A lot of you guys have been saying that. I don't think it would be that as exciting as you guys think it would be. It would just be me sleeping. like I don't like. I know it might sound cool, but it's like I don't think it's going to be that interesting. Were you able to fall asleep on your regular sleep schedule? No, I slept at like 1, I think. We are 1 cent away. And then but then I woke up at like 4:30, so I didn't get a ton of sleep, but I slept enough the day before. All right, we're 1 cent away. Here we go. I think we cracked through. There's like 200,000 shares on my side. Some of you guys say 400,000 shares. Let's see if it's enough to crack through or if it gets rejected right there. But maybe we get there. I didn't see it yet. Some of you guys might have seen it. I haven't seen it. It got rejected on my end. Robinhood also got rejected. I don't see it on Webull or Robinhood. Dude, the fact that we're making a comeback to 1. That's the other thing. I woke up and I thought Palantir was red when I slept. It was back at basically 125 when I checked it at 8 p.m. yesterday. And I was like, so I slept through the whole recovery. What do you mean by resistance? I just mean a number of shares that are waiting to be sold at a certain level. So at 125, I'm seeing 175,000 shares waiting to be sold, which means someone has to buy 175,000 shares to get through that wall, essentially. Yeah, it's still not able to fully get up there. Yeah, every time. 124.99 on Fidelity as well. Yeah, it's getting rejected. We added $100 to the stock price in less than a year. How insane is that, dude? It's pretty wild. It's pretty freaking wild. Ask Derek to break down that wall. So Derek's friend texted me this morning. He bought 1 million shares of Grab. I'm seeing the screenshot just now. He bought them at 540. So if you're buying right now, you're getting a cheaper price than him. But also he bought 1 million shares when it was at 450. So now he has 2 million shares of Grab. Let's see today. Let's see. I think this could be a narrative changing quarter for them. But they got to be able to do it. Yeah, it's getting rejected, dude. Everyone, yeah, 124.70. It's just not getting over that 124.99 hump. Stuck there at 125. I saw a 2 million order on the order books for Grab this morning. If it was at 9:42, it was probably the person who texted me. Actually, no, it was at 9:25. If it was at 9:25, then it might have been his shares that he was buying. Worst, best case scenario for Grab? I think best case, they break over 620. Like, it's a really big move. Base case, to me, I'm thinking around 570. Goes back to where it topped out in November. Worst case, I think we go back to 450. But, I mean, if they deliver a good quarter, 450 is a screaming buy, in my opinion. So, I think base, we get over 570. Worst case, 450. And then a really good bull case is we break over 6. But we're going to have to find out later today. Back to 3. If we go to $3, it's going to be trading at 50% cash. I don't think it gets that low. I think it's going to have to really take a nasty beating to go back to 3. Especially, again, dude, the institutional. I saw this picture this morning. I mean, we're at 76% Toot holdings. Like, if the Toots are in and they're ready, I know people say there's a lot of shares, but if those shares are not available to buy because the Toots have loaded up already, you know, maybe it decreases the float to an extent at least. All right, let's see what other updates we have going on. We talked about Apple. We talked about Microsoft. We talked about some of the Tesla news. We talked about mortgage rates. Let's get a little bit of an update here, but pretty much the core things we got through. Is HIMS back at 70? We're back at 70 on HIMS? Wow, dude, it's going for 71. Goodness gracious. Yeah, so we'll be talking about Cheesecake earnings today as well. We're not going to listen to the call, but we'll talk about them. The call on Grab, by the way, is at 5 p.m. or 7 p.m. So the earnings will be at 4, but I'll be back live again at 7 to to research it. I mean, to listen to the call. Lamb Research executive expects revenue of 25 to 27 billion in calendar year 2028. Expects adjusted EPS of $6 to $7. Is Lamb Research up? Lamb Research is up 3% on that guidance. They're up 3%. All right, that's not bad. Good for the semis. Good for the semis. All right, let's get an update here. We'll keep going.
That's about a 10-month high. That was above the 2.8 estimate and up from the 2.5 reading in December. It comes on the heels of a rate cut from the Bank of England, of course, at the last policy meeting in February. Inflation also a concern in Asia. A Bank of Japan board member saying it's important to shift gears gradually to avoid the risks of price upswings and financial overheating from becoming a reality. BOJ raised rates by 50 bips in January, saying that more hikes could be on the horizon. Right now, the yen rising against the dollar.
Well, it's still too soon to fully calculate the cost of the California wildfires, of course. But one thing is clear, the cost of insurance will go up. And that will affect not just the value of Los Angeles real estate, but the real estate really across the nation. Diana Olick explains in her continuing series on the rising risks to the economy from climate change.
Okay, let's see if we have any other news updates here. I think the Trump-Zelensky thing was the only big news thing. Other than that, we covered most of the headlines. Palantir still trying for 125. She wants it. 10 cents away, but not there yet. Bitcoin 96. Where's MicroStrategy? 332. Basically been flat for a while, and then Hood back to 60 on the day. Are you looking at Archer, Mitt? I mean, I like Archer. I don't really have a position in them, but you know, again, another company, no earnings. You got to believe in the potential on them. I think selling puts is not crazy. I wouldn't mind buying this thing at 7 or 8. But 1033 right here, down 3.3%. I don't think they have earnings today, right? The companies that have earnings today are Grab, Vimeo, Carvana, which, by the way, Carvana was the subject of a short report by Hindenburg that's now shut down. Carvana year to date, I think, is green. Yeah, dude, Carvana's up 45%. So, I mean, as long as there's no mess up on earnings, the shorts have not been doing well on this name. It's up 500% over the past year. Archer earnings on 224. Okay, cool. So 224 for Archer. Grab is today. It's not tomorrow, guys. Sometimes you just got to go to the company's website. All the websites that are saying it have just they misreported it. So if you just go to the IR page of these websites, you'll get the exact data, and it will be later today. Is Grab to 7 after earnings out of the question? I think that would be aggressive. Could I see that happening? Yeah, but I don't know, dude. That's adding $8 billion in market cap. It's not like Palantir that can add that every 5 minutes. That's a little bit tougher for Grab. So I don't know. I think 6 is in play. 7's a bit up there. Like if it gets to 7, then it's like, all right, like they either had one of those quarters, like it completely changed the narrative, or retail is just really excited about it. Maybe Toots are excited about it as well, but it would be one of those reasons. What else? Do you think, what are your thoughts on NVO going long? Is this Novo Nordisk? Yeah, I just don't know enough about them. I know they're down 15% since last month, but I don't know enough about the actual company. Same with Eli Lilly. But I'll tell you what, Hims has been the better bet over all the pharmaceuticals. I mean, 71.38. My goodness, it hit like 7 new all-time highs today. Wild, bro. Where's Palantir? Oh, shit. No one told me we're at 125? Did no one tell me that? When did that happen? I see no comments of 125, bro. I see none of them. Oh, now they're coming in. Okay, this is the StreamYard delay. All right, here we go, baby. Wow. Back to 125 once again. There you go. We already rang the bell for 125 yesterday, but let's ring the bell collectively for Palantir and Hims. We didn't ring the bell for Hims today. So shout out to 125 for Palantir and all-time high for Hims. Wild, bro. Absolutely wild. That means we're getting back to, we had 125.4. That wasn't even just 125. That was 125 with some attitude, bro. A little spunk in that 125, bro. I think we get back there. I think we get backed. Dude, that's pretty aggressive. That's like, dude, like, okay, so who's buying Palantir? Put in the chat. Are you buying Palantir? Because I really don't think a lot of you in the chat are buying. And if it's not you guys, it's either the tooties or it's new retail. Like, I'm really curious. Is anyone in the chat like legitimately buying? Not just like buying a couple shares here and there, but like you're actually like DCAing, in this case, averaging up instead of DCA. I just feel like it's not a lot of you. Maybe it's some of you, but it's not a ton of you guys. Yeah, like the majority of you are saying, nope, 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 not me, not me. I mean, if it's not you guys, it's either new retail or it's the tooties. But at some point, I feel like the tooties also look at the valuation and they're like, hey, maybe we should just wait. But then again, maybe not, right? Maybe freaking not. I don't know. I don't know if the tooties care. Palantir's PE is now 660. Their forward PE is 186. And their price to sales is 100. 101.93. Let me be exact. $285 billion market cap. Again, that doesn't mean it has to go down. It's just phenomenal as a market participant to see it keep going up. It means there are buyers that are still there. HIMS is at 72. Did HIMS get another all-time high? Wow, HIMS hit 72. Dude, talk about a case study for squeezing. Like, that it has to be a squeeze. There's no other way to explain that. Palantir is not a squeeze. Palantir's short float is 3%. There's no way that's a squeeze. That's just legit new people buying the stock. HIMS, I think it's shorts covering. I think that's what's happening. SMCI is pushing as well. SMCI, yeah, 61. New 52-week high on SMCI. Grabs recovering a little bit back to 521. Hood's trying to get back to 61. Palantir back to 125, holding it. Tesla holding on to about 2%. Apple flat on the day. Block XYZ not been the best this year. That one's down. And now HIMS is beyond 72. It's pretty incredible, dude. It's pretty freaking incredible. Is adding to the HIMS position sensible at this price? You know, after this much momentum, to buy into this type of strength, you're either chasing or you genuinely believe it's still undervalued. And there's arguments for why it is still undervalued. I've heard them from the HIMS bulls many times. But I don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't know if it still is that undervalued, especially after this type of a move. Tempest is up 3% after being red. This one, Nancy, kind of saved everyone on this one this year. The Grab 550 call just got $1 million in premium today. That's for July 18th. The call options on this one are going crazy. July 18th, let me check the volume. July 18th, 550 call. Yeah, volume's 11,000 contracts. Just got $1 million in premium. So you got people that are buying that up today. And then you got HIMS doing its thing. Look at Talkspace. I don't know what Talkspace is. Yeah, this is a small cap, guys. $600 million market cap. So I don't know enough about that one. SMCI 61, 60 freaking 1 on SMCI. Are you in HIMS, Amit? I am not. I missed that one, dude. I missed it. I genuinely missed it. I just had no idea what it was at the time and never really looked into it. Where's Palantir? Where's Palantir? I'm going to check 126 just for the hell of it. I mean, if we get there, then we get there, but let me check and see if it's there. 126 resistance is 41,000 shares. Could happen. It could happen. I mean, who knows, bro? It could happen. At this point, it is what it is. Elon reposting Carp, I think, yesterday was also pretty special, dude. I mean, that's a lot of distribution for Carp's message. A lot of people getting exposed to Palantir. Also, Carp's book is like number 50 on the Amazon bestsellers. Let me check again. It's like it might be a New York Times bestseller if it keeps climbing the ranks. Wow, it's number 4. Holy crap, dude. Amazon bestsellers. The Technological Republic is number 4. Shout out to everyone buying the book. I got a copy of the book in California, and I still bought the book. So I got my pre-order came in yesterday. Number 1 is The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. I think she's like a motivational speaker or something. Number 3 is 7 Things You Can't Say About China. Number 4 is Alex Karp. And then number 5 is Atomic Habits. Okay, so he's up there. Atomic Habits, that's a big book. James Clear, that is a massive book. Like, to be ahead of Atomic Habits is wild, bro. So that's going to definitely bring in some book orders. Ileano, yeah, but Ileano posted about him being number 34, right? I didn't know he was at number 4. That's a massive climb on the rankings. Nadella just tweeted about their quantum chip. Oh no, he tweeted that it was number 4. Yeah, yesterday it was number 4. Okay, so it's still number 4. Well, let's see if we can get to number 1. Let's see. Amit, have you written any books? I have not. It's very hard for me to write and read, to be honest. It's easy for me to talk though. So yeah, I don't know if I'm ever going to write a book, bro. Like the level of attention you need to sit down and type. But it's crazy because I type on Twitter all day and I write long posts on Twitter. But like writing a full book with chapters and shit, like, first of all, what would I write about? I don't even know what I would write about, dude. How to mispronounce words or something. I don't even know. I feel like I don't have the attention span to do it. Spencer says, I had a dream last night that Karp gave you his tie since TSA took the gavel. That is hilarious. Can't believe you had that dream. For those that are missing context here, I told a story yesterday about how Vlad gave me a gavel when I went to the Robinhood headquarters. And I wanted to bring the gavel. It's like a plastic gavel. And I wanted to bring it back to New Jersey. And TSA took my gavel. And you may think the story ends there, but it doesn't end there. Because when I confronted them and I said, can I speak to the manager comes over and I tried pleading my case, SMCI right here up 10%. And I'm like, hey, do you know Robinhood? Like, I went to the headquarters. That was a personal gift from the CEO. And he was like, oh, Robinhood, the company that fucked me over on GameStop. And then I realized, yeah, I'm never getting this gavel back. So, yeah. And you know what's funny? My friend sent me a video of his friend. They were at the gym together, and he works at TSA. And he asked him, "Is a gavel like allowed?" And the TSA agent was like, "Yeah, there's like no issue with the gavel. Like a gavel is not a big deal." And so I feel like that TSA agent, I feel like they were bored, and I feel like they just wanted to like take something out of someone's bag because like they probably hadn't for a while, and this first sign of something they thought that was off, they went for it, and I ended up being the victim. Because literally a TSA agent last night, one of my friends said that no, TSA, like they're not supposed to take plastic gavels from anybody. So it is what they won't admit they're wrong. That's 100%, bro. The TSA, they don't want to be talked to, bro. Like they just want you to get through, and if they say something, you have to do it. And it's so weird, bro, because I was on the line where they were like, don't take out your laptops. But then the guy on the line next to the other line was like, take out your laptops. And I'm like, why are there two different rules? Like, why, like, can we not, like, why is why is one machine better at reading laptops and the other one's not? Like, we need to, this is like, Doge needs to modernize TSA in the United States because it is an absolute travesty. It's a mess. And like, we have too many people going through TSA every day for it to be this inefficient. They're fake tough. That's facts, bro. TSA is fake tough. Check eBay for the gavel. Yeah, they did, but eBay, it's not Vlad's gavel, bro. It's Vlad's gavel. It was gonna be in the back, right there, next to the Robinhood whiskey, and the bell and Karp's book. Like it was gonna be one of those things that you keep there forever. And now it's in a trash can in San Francisco. So sad, bro. So sad about it. I should have fought harder, bro. No, I should have told him to buy. I should have told him he should have bought Robinhood stock. Like, I really wanted to, bro. I really wanted to be like, well, if you just bought the stock, you would have recovered your money. But I didn't feel like doing it because it was already pissed off. I was like, let me not mess with this guy. It's a San Francisco thing. You know, maybe it's probably at that guy's house, dude. Legalized theft, exactly. All right, 61.43 on SMCI. HIMS 72.50. It was 2 cents away from 73. Hood back to being red. And then are we still holding 125? We are just below 125 at 124.70. Greg Little from Palantir is at Hudson Institute Fireside Chat. Yeah, I saw that today. I don't think that's live. I'm going to try to get the clips of that. I got to meet Greg Little when I went to DC. He's an awesome guy, bro. And he was one of the first people that said, hey, you know, they can't say if they're working with Doge or not, but he did say that like the synergies between us and Doge make a lot of sense. And so, again, the more and more I think about it, I just feel like there is a real world where Palantir works with Doge and it becomes a thing. And all the employees know that there's a real synergy for them to work together. I think that's also why Palantir exclusively streamed Carp's AMA on X. You know, they're getting a lot more friendlier with Grok. I mean, Elon's quote tweeting Palantir's tweets about Grok. Like there's just more and more signs that there's going to be something that happens. And hopefully it ends up playing out. But we're going to have to see. By the way, NVIDIA's robot company, one of them, Field AI, they're raising several $100 million at a $2 billion valuation, a sharp jump from $500 million last summer. So it's another robotics company called Field AI. It's a software company that works with robots. So it's a sort of robotic software company developing multimodal large language models. They're raising at a $2 billion valuation. This is in line with Figure raising at a $40 billion valuation. And this is in line with Ilia, who's raising at a $30 billion valuation. So, I mean, we're getting tons of these startups that are just raising at much higher levels at this point. And is that kind of scary? Yeah, but again, if AI is as real as we think it is, then maybe it's not as scary. Maybe these valuations will be grown into over time. I don't know, though, dude. It's going to be one of those things where it's like, okay, either the valuations are egregious and everyone realizes it, but no one does anything about it, like 2021, or even if they're egregious, the growth will be there to justify it, which I think I'm more on the side of the latter than the former, because I do think the growth is strong enough to make this not a 2021 situation. But I guess time is going to tell us how aggressive these are or not. Isn't Doge just a one-time audit that will end? Yeah, but it's like a 500-day audit that hopefully reorganizes how the government conducts a lot of their operations. I wonder if Trump renews it, though, because I was always confused why they're ending in 2026. I never understood that. Like why would you not allow it to be like a 4-year thing? But I think it's just to give a sense of urgency to it. But I think if they get to 2026 and they made progress, I don't think it's going to go terminated. I think they're just going to extend it and allow Elon to keep working on it. But I guess it depends on how much progress they make. Quantum getting a bit of a move right here off the Microsoft news. D-Wave, look at that, up 15%. Quantum getting some love. Rigetti's up 9%. QUBT's up 11%. IONQ's up 6%. And then D-Wave up 16%. S&P pretty much back to all-time highs as well. Money's rotating out of the Max 7 into other names. And one of those names, or one of those sectors, is Quantum, at least for today. Retail is going to get burned. All right, how many of you guys think that? How many of you guys think that? How many of you guys think, let's do a poll. By end of 2025, retail gets burned. What do you think? I would vote no on this because I think that the majority of retail names are simply benefiting off of rotation, like a HIMS, like a Hood, like a QBTS. Now, granted, is it fundamentally D-Wave worth $2 billion? I don't know. But if there is a real rotation happening, does that rotate back into the Max 7? And if it does rotate back into the Max 7, retail owns a crap ton of Max 7. Like, does it really hurt them that much? I mean, you would have to have a broad-based market decline where risk-off, defensives, utilities, and the Max 7 all get a 10 to 15% haircut, which could happen and is more likely to happen than not. But I feel like that's how retail gets burned. Like I feel retail gets burned when they get into fart coin, right? When they get into really stupid shit. And there are some stocks that are acting like a fart coin, but is that where the majority of retail is? I don't know. I mean, again, if you look at Robinhood's analytics on a lot of these tickers, retail's selling, dude. Retail is taking profits. And let me check on Palantir right here. Retail has been, yeah, dude, for the past, basically 70% of the past 3 weeks, 70% of the days in the past 3 weeks, retail has been a net seller. I mean, when you see that type of stuff, you see that someone's buying, and maybe it's other retail on Schwab or Fidelity, but it also could be Toots. Retail already got burned. They underperformed by the indices by miles last year. So on aggregate, I think you might be right that retail underperformed against the indices, but I don't know. Maybe I'm being biased here from the people in this chat. There was no underperformance. I mean, I think put in the chat if you didn't beat the S&P last year. Like, I'm pretty sure all of you guys beat the S&P pretty aggressively. And if you only slightly beat it, you know, you came in at 30-35%, which is still a nice beat of above the 25%. Like, I think there was a healthy amount of retail that crushed the S&P last year. Now, granted, will that happen again this year? I'm not expecting that. You know, I had 275% last year. I'm not expecting that again. I think you have to be humble enough to admit it. But if you're a retail investor with some level of awareness about the markets, you're not like brand new into it, I think you really did beat the S&P last year. Like, it wasn't hard to beat the S&P 500. It's a really, like, being a name that just didn't move to be there. And if you were in the Mag 7, you beat the S&P 500, right? And most of the Mag 7 did phenomenal. We have to assume the average retail investor is nonsensical. We definitely do not represent the average retail. Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. I would say everyone in the chat obviously does not represent the average retail investor. I mean, yeah, you have a point, right? Like, your run-of-the-mill person who just downloaded Robinhood probably is not easily beating the S&P. And if they are, we're probably in a bubble. But decently sophisticated retail investors that like actually keep up with the markets, I feel, did great. Elaine right here said I killed it, up over 300%. Yeah, I think a majority of people that actually hear about markets did. Melanie says beat. A question might be if the same people lost more than the S&P in 2022. Yeah, 2022, I think I ended the year down at least 50%. The markets were down 19%. I made back all of that money and a bit more in 2024 from the 2022 lows. But the catalyst to have a 2022 year where we fall 20%, again, I don't see it. To end the year down 20%, there's just so much technology that's ramping up that would have to be denied in terms of progress, I feel like, to get there. I just don't feel like it's easy. Bull markets always bring a measure of hubris. Things could change in a downturn. Yeah, that's fair. Look, I try to keep the show as objective as possible by looking at a lot of the bear cases, and we've looked at plenty of them. But the simple bull case formula to me is inflation's going down, even though it looks like it's going up, but we know majority of that is shelter, so eventually it'll come down. And then earnings are going up, and then you just add the macro landscape of technology, and then the macro landscape geopolitically of maybe some of these wars actually coming to an end. And you put all four of those together, I mean, you get a relatively decent interpretation of where the markets can go. And it doesn't necessarily have to be down the pipe. Barring anything that happens that's, you know, aggressive on the macro side. Okay, a couple of headlines. 10-year still at 4.5. Elon's raising money for XAI, or not XAI, at Twitter at a $44 billion valuation. So we got that headline that came out this morning. $44 billion for Twitter, which you might be wondering that's the same valuation as 2022. That is correct. He is raising again at $44 billion. So when he raised in 2022, people said it was worth like $10 billion. Now it's actually worth $44 billion. Revenues grow 40%, as per the New York Times in 2024. So it looks like X, which is Twitter, might get some more money coming in. Atlanta Fed GDP now is projecting 2.3% growth for Q1. which is a little bit above consensus, but at least it's above 2%, which is not bad. PE ratios across the world, emerging markets are at 12.5, Asia's at 13.7, Europe's at 14.4, the United States is at 22.7. And if you take out the Mag 7, I think it's closer to 19. So the US, obviously the most expensive across the world. Emerging markets are the cheapest. But that's where you get like Southeast Asia, Latin America, and emerging markets. But we still, you still are seeing money come to the United States over the rest of the world just because we have all the best companies here. And then here's an international perspective of what happened over the past 5 years. Argentina actually did the best. So the United States did 96% compounded over the past 5 years. Argentina did 253%. Taiwan did 91%. Greece did 83%. And China and Brazil went red. This is since the February 2020 market peak. So it includes the COVID decline and the 2022 decline with raising rates. Which is another reason people are buying China right now. It's another reason people are thinking that there's a little bit of alpha in China. Where's HIMS? Are we above 72 now? HIMS still above 72. And look, all I can say is congrats for those that are in HIMS. You just, for those that are in options in HIMS, bro. If you had like a $20 leap on HIMS, I mean, let's just check that out right now. That thing has to be up a lot. HIMS $20. Let's go to January 2026. That call option, which if you bought it last year ago, was a pretty reasonable call. It's up 300% in the past month. It's up 600% in the past 3 months. And if you got it at the very lows, you're up closer to 700%. So yeah, that's one that's done very well. Done very, very well. Do you think robots are coming, but not robot transactions? Not endorsing anything, but look at Hedera, IOTA, and others. Robots will not wait for banks. I'm confused what you mean by robot transactions. Do you mean like agentic transactions within banks or through APIs with fintechs? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by robot transactions. IOTA, I mean, these are the companies that probably work in this stuff. But I obviously, I think robots are coming. I'm not sure what robot transactions would look like. How are you checking that? If you just go to any option and you click on its historical timeline, you can see then the projections of how much the transaction's up. Everyone's thoughts on a Hood insider selling 30 million of shares. Did they sell yesterday? I mean, it makes sense to. We had a big pump after earnings. You would imagine they sell. Let me check. Was this yesterday? 50,000 shares. Oh, the chief legal officer. Yeah, dude, it is what it is. I mean, look, when a stock pumps that much, you're going to have insiders take profits. So it makes sense. I like Dan Gallagher. He has a very FU mentality to the SEC. He just doesn't care. But yeah, he sold about 30 million of it. Yeah, they had to buy a new gavel. Dude, the Robinhood offices are kind of crazy. Like when I walked in, I thought it was I thought it was at the wrong place. Like I thought there was going to be like some big building and you walk in, you take the elevator. It was like a ranch, like a cowboy ranch. It was very super chill. And it just wasn't like it wasn't what I expected for a tech company. So it was like a flat ranch, but it was cool walking into it. Obviously, it felt like a true tech company. But when I was walking around, you could see just a bunch of different. I saw all the different places where like Vlad does his interviews, and you kind of recognize those backgrounds. But they were excited. They were really excited. I mean, the employees there were just going crazy, dude. They were, and then I got to see their setup from where they did the press conference, you could call it, the Game 7 type of press conference for their earnings call. It was a whole studio setup. Like they had lights and cameras and all this crazy stuff. So it was pretty cool. How much of his total shares was it? I don't know. I actually don't know how much Dan Gallagher owns. But 50,000 shares is not a small amount. So Definitely got a nice. That's why he didn't leave to become Trump's commissioner of the SEC. His name was out there, but I think he chose to stay at HUD for a reason. Okay. I think that's it. We are done. 3 hours and 22 minutes today. We have to do a long stream after a week of not being back in the studio. So, yeah. I think we're done for today. He says, what I mean is automatic trading between machines. Look at Hedera Council, Google, IBM, Dell, and more sit on the council. Look at HBAR today. Automatic trading between machines. Okay, so I've never heard of this concept before. HBAR is something I have heard about. So that makes sense. I'll look into it. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. But look, if the robots are coming, I would imagine that there's ways in which machines will start communicating with each other in a more synchronized way. And yeah, if that's the case, then we're probably going to have a much bigger future when it comes to robotics. Are you streaming for Grab earnings? Yes. So we'll be live at 3:45. We'll have earnings at 4. And dude, I hope they crush it, because at this point, honestly, freaking everyone on Twitter has associated my name with this damn company, and I didn't ask for that. I just said I like the stock, and like, let me show you guys this tweet from yesterday, bro. When I saw this tweet, I was sleeping for 10 hours. I woke up and I saw this tweet. It had 1,000 likes, and I was just like, all right, this thing better fucking go up, or I need to hire security if it doesn't. Look at this. This guy said, I swear to God, if Grab goes to $10 or $12 this year, I'm proclaiming Amit as the next Roaring Kitty, but we shall call him Roaring Mitty. This has 150,000 views and 1,400 likes. And I'm like, well, that's a little bit of pressure, buddy, for this thing to go up. And so I responded, yeah, 10 could happen, but it's hard to see it. And if it doesn't, I'm hiring security. Like, imagine this thing tanks to 420, bro. Like, imagine it happens. I don't even know what I'm going to do, bro. Like, this thing better move up, bro. And like, it better do its thing. At this point, it's a question of safety for this thing to freaking move higher. It's funny, dude. People are saying Roaring Kitty, but I don't think, like, as much as I think there's a bit of retail excitement here, there's 4 billion shares outstanding. I don't think, even with my posts on Twitter, that people are literally buying it just because of that. I genuinely think, based on the stat I saw today, the institutional holdings went much higher. And because of that, retail is getting excited about it, which helps, but it's not like retail is pumping. There's 4 billion shares outstanding. You can't pump it if you're retail, dude. Like, you really need a lot of volume for that to happen. And I don't think that's coming just from X. But the point is, there's still people that are getting into the name, even if they're not the reason why Grab is up, and they're associating this thing with me. And I hope to God, I've never wanted a stock to go up more than today. It's like, give me this one, stock gods. Give me this one. Please let this happen. Why don't they give that credit to you for Palantir? Well, Palantir is a much more communal effort. I know, like, I have a big presence in the Palantir community, but it's all of us together. Like, there's so many other people in Palantir. For Grab, there's not a lot of people. There's like 4 or 5 people. And so, like, for Grab, I think people are just associating it with one person because that's how they found out about it. But Grab has 2 billion more shares outstanding than Palantir. So even if there was a bit of a Palantir squeeze from retail, it's easier than Grab. Grab is freaking 4 billion. Palantir is 2.3. So it's just harder for it to happen. But I guess we're gonna find out. Today. Chris, thank you for the $10 super chat. I didn't realize you reached 60,000 subscribers, 30,000 not long ago. Congrats. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you everyone for subscribing. It's been a fun year and a half, just working, and we got to keep grinding and doing what we got to do. Obviously, if Grab goes up, that's going to help. If not, then who knows what's going to happen to the channel tomorrow. But I'm going to buy more, dude, if we fall. If it's a good earnings and we fall, I'm buying more. So I'll be buying the dip, but I guess we'll see how this plays out tomorrow. Palantir Army will protect you. Yes, it might need some protection. Did you guys know there's a new app? There's a new app called what's the guy's name, bro? Oh my God, what's the guy's name? He launched an app. It's called Uber for Security. Nikita. Nikita, this is a guy who launches, his company was acquired by Facebook. He's really good at like launching products and like making them go viral. He launched a company called Book Protectors, a new app for ordering on-demand security detail, or simply Uber with guns. Today, they're debuting in Los Angeles and New York City at number 3 on the App Store. It's called Protector, an app for ordering on-demand security, aka Uber with guns. I saw this. How many of you guys think this is a good idea? Because originally I saw this and I was like, this is a stupid idea, bro. There's like, how big is this market? And then I think about it and I'm like, there's probably a bigger market than I'm expecting. It's number 13 on the iOS travel app store. That's crazy, bro. By the way, Grab is number 39 on the travel app store, and Grab's not even a US product. That's how much tourism happens from the United States to Grab. The fact that it's number 39 in the United States App Store and it's not even a product you use in the United States. But Book Protector is number 13. And so, yeah, I guess there's a market for like booking security. I could also see this as just like a publicity stunt or something. Like if you're filming a commercial or something and you need security guards, like I could see other use cases for it. But you literally get to pick their uniforms and then book them to protect you. Do you guys think it's a good idea? Like, I guess it's a thing, dude. Number 13 in the App Store is not a joke in travel. Eventually, the robots might just do this for everybody, though. So, maybe that will cannibalize it. But still, it is one of those ideas. Or when you're trying to impress a girl, yeah. I think that one of their commercials had that angle to it where you're trying to impress a girl and you order it. Like, I think it's a really unique idea. I've never heard of this idea, but I just, like, when I saw it, I was like, I don't think this is a big market. But sometimes markets are much, much more bigger than you think. Bro's gonna have to book them for his next meetup if Grab tanks. Oh my God. Dude, it's so funny. We were talking about Grab at the Palo Alto meetup. Like, casually, it's not like people were obsessed with it or anything. They were just like, so what's your thesis on it? And if that meetup had been 2 days after, I feel like that's all we would have talked about, because everyone would have been so excited about it. All right, cool. That's it. I'll be back 3:45. We have cheesecake. We have Vimeo. We have toast. We have Enovix, which is a big battery company. We have Carvana. And then we have Grab. So I'll be live with Sam. Sam is another Grab OG. He'll be on with me. And at 4 p.m., we'll see the metrics that we get. 3 numbers that I'm expecting real quick, and then I'll end it out. I want another quarter of GAAP profitability. That would make me very happy with Grab. It would also hopefully protect my life. I want 450 to 500 million in EBITDA growth, which would be 65% year over year. And I want MTUs, monthly transacting users, to grow 15%. And for that to come in at 43 million, which would be about 6% of the total population in Southeast Asia. And then I would really be happy if they announced a $1 billion share buyback. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to hold on to do that for a couple quarters. But if they do that, I think that would be pretty exciting as well. So that's what we need. If we get that, then I think there's a shot that earnings are good. And later today, we'll be live to see how it plays out. All right, word of the day, and then we're done for today, is stayed. S-T-A-I-D.
Stayed. Stayed.
Dignified, solemn, or proper. They preferred the staid elegance of the opera to the rowdy excitement of the rock concert. The banker's staid personality inspired trust among her clients. Proper. Dignified. All right, well, to keep my dignity today, hopefully Grab doesn't tank. And if not, I guess we're going to see how this plays out. So there you go. Is SMCI at 62? Is it pushing? Is it pushing? Wow, it hit 62.40. Congrats, 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 congrats to those in this one. It's a big one. It's a big move. Carvana's up 2%. Him 72.20. Robin at 60.32. Grab at 525, and then Palantir right here, 124, as we end out the market open. All right, that's it for me. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you guys at 3:45 on the market close. Bye, everyone. Have a good one.